Katherine Magbanua is facing a first-degree murder charge for the slaying of Professor Dan Markel. Police say Markel was gunned down in his Tallahassee driveway in 2014 as part of an elaborate murder-for-hire plot orchestrated by the wealthy family of his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. The motive for the alleged hit? Officials believe the Adelsons were desperate for Wendy and her 2 children to move closer to them in South Florida, and Dan Markel was standing in the way.
Trials for the 2 alleged hitmen are scheduled to start in the coming weeks. Both have pleaded not guilty, but we've learned that authorities are trying desperately to flip them, hoping they'll testify against the Adelsons.
This video contains an interview of Katherine Magbanua, who helped her boyfriend orchestrate a murder. In 2013, Katherine Magbanua was a single mother struggling to make ends meet. She had recently broken up with the father of her children, Sigfredo Garcia. During the summer, she found work at a local dental office, where she met Charlie Alderson, the son of a well-to-do family in the dental business. Within months, the two began dating, and Alderson soon began to confide that his sister, Wendy Adelson, was having problems with her ex-husband, Dan Markel. Charlie Adelson had always hated his brother-in-law, and when the divorce became hostile, he no longer felt he had to restrain himself for his sister's sake. Wendy Adelson and Dan Markel's main fight was over the custody of their 2 young boys, and the Adelson family was strongly opposed to Markel having any rights. At the urging of his mother, Donna Adelson, Charlie began to look for someone to take care of the problem. This person turned out to be Sigfredo Garcia, and Adelson coordinated his plans through Magbanua, who had reached out to Garcia. Joining Garcia was Luis Rivera, a longtime friend who was often at Garcia's side. On the morning of July 18, 2014, Garcia and Rivera drove by Markel's home and shot him in his driveway after several trips to learn his schedule. Markel later died at the hospital. The Adelson family was immediately suspected, but no arrests were made until 2016.
Unlocks if y'all need anything.
All right, where do you convene?
I'm right in this, yeah, right here, right in the middle.
Okay, can I get you over there?
Of course, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you much.
Okay. Morning. I guess you knew we were coming. You talked to Chris. Okay. This is...
Is this a camera? Yes.
Yeah, we're doing it for all of our safety. We don't want it to be alleged that we came in here talking to you, so from the beginning we're just recording this whole thing with you. So this came out from Chris yesterday. He signed the bottom of it. If you just want to look at it and review it, we'll have you sign it as well.
Yeah, I think this is the one that like Tara just like
It's
went over.
yeah, it's the same thing, yeah. So if you just want to sign the bottom of it,
Okay.
second page.
Today's the 10th or the 11th?
11th.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what I'll tell you. Obviously, things have changed, and we're here without your attorneys, but that's, you guys had the conversations, and we all talked as well. I kind of feel like it's best and easiest to just let you tell us how we got here.
That's the thing, that's like, wait, like how I got to this point.
Well, start at the beginning. You know who we all are anyway, right? You know,
Okay, well, I guess we can do that. So we got Pat Sanford with the FBI, Sherry Bennis with TPD, and I'm Jason with the State Attorney's Office, which you and I have met a few times. And yeah, if letting you kind of tell us how we live here is the best way to start. And we'll ask questions, don't get me wrong, we will ask you stuff, but
Yeah, this is what I was afraid of, like, just with everything that's been happening and like obviously getting incarcerated, and then it's just, I've been like, you know, like with my guard up the whole time, and then like all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to walk into this room, and then it's just like, me just talk. Like, I know you
Let's
can
talk.
it's like, I can't, everything is...
well, let's start it like this. Okay, how did you meet Charlie? Let's start with that.
Oh, we're really diving in really quick. Man, way to break the ice, right? Just before, like, I know, like, you know, obviously, you know, I'm going through 2 trials and everything. Like, what would this be all public now? Like this, or is it just for protection?
Eventually, it will be. We're doing this because obviously, with the publicity of the trial and the amount of, you know, you guys didn't do this. You guys talked to her before you turned the camera on. We're not gonna have. We don't want to have any of those games played. We would rather have everything, you know, recorded and documented, so there isn't. You guys sat down with Katie and told her what she needed to tell you.
Magbanua is concerned about keeping some of the details private, but that is no longer an option. The case has gained too much public attention for secrets, and everything is going to come out.
No.
Okay.
We didn't do that.
Yeah, because like my attorneys are not even here, so this
Right.
is like.
Right, exactly. So this is my first time sitting down, you know, talk to you.
Yeah.
So we want everything, you know, recorded. So there's no question about, like it did last time, people were making allegations that we fed people and things like that. We're on the up and up. This is not, you know, this is the way it's been the whole
We're
time.
not here
We're not here
to
to trick you.
berate you. This is this is
I
different.
mean, it's gotten to this point, basically.
This is your side of the story.
Yeah.
You tell us the truth of what happened, and
I
we'll
guess
ask
we should
questions when we
probably
need
start
to,
with
but
should swear.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Will you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. Now we got that out of the way.
Okay.
And all the confusion. Yeah, I mean, really, it's best to start with, I think, how you met Charlie would be the best way to start. And then we can probably sequentially, you know, work a timeline out from there.
Okay. Well, I was working in Sophie Dental, and then he's like one of the specialists that came in. So then from there, he's, you know, like, we get the phone numbers from the doctors, from what I remember, and then we put it on our cell phone, so that whenever scheduling purposes, we'll, you know, we can contact or text the.
Charlie Adelson was a dentist who got his start in his family's practice. He was the link between the family and the other conspirators who were involved in Markel's murder.
Any of the doctors, any of the dentists.
Okay.
So I went through there.
And just started texting, and then
Yeah.
you started dating, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
how long did that progression take from the texting to the dating?
Like, how did it evolve? Like, from being a doctor?
Well,
to-
this is like all the way from 2013, I believe. So, well, yeah, he was like persistent. He was just persistent about like, and I told him, I was like, I have kids, like I don't really have time. I don't have a babysitter. I don't have like a chance to just go up and about. Like I don't have that type of freedom. Like, so little by little, he was just, you know, trying to, oh, come on, let's hang out. And then, like one day, like I just went over to his house. I don't remember.
Time frame, I guess, would be late 2013, early 2014.
Yeah, that was 2013.
Okay. And you got it kind of grew from there and became more of a dating relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. How long would you say you two dated?
Like I said, like, you know, I've always said that we never had like, oh, he's my boyfriend, I'm his girlfriend type thing. Probably from 2013 to 2014, 15.
Okay.
What I remember.
It was
Because
exclusive, it was on and off.
yeah, like we've stayed friends the
Okay.
whole time.
Okay.
It's nerve-wracking. Sorry. It's just, you know, it's just like not, I haven't spoken
Just-
to anybody, you know what I mean? It's
And
like-
that's what we really, I know we're sitting over here on the side and it's intimidating. Like, this is kind of a, and I'm sure that's not helping the matter,
Yeah.
but just try to talk with us. Just literally just sit there and talk with us.
Black it out. I mean, black it out.
Yeah, maybe we can move it, I don't know, closer to the camera or the phone so it's not like straight in your face, I don't know. But just try to block it out and just let's talk this through. So you guys started dating. What comes to
Sorry,
what comes to your mind? 'Cause what I don't want to do is feed it to you and
Right.
you
I get
know,
that.
reiterate it for us.
Well, let's just talk about what problems did he talk to you about? Did he talk to you about his problems and issues and what led
And this is what I was like scared of, like, you know, from the from the information that I got from the trial, and then obviously, you know, and I go back in my bunk and I'm like trying to think back, like, it's like it's all perception. That's why I was like so irritated and frustrated, because as I'm seeing things being revealed, you know, I'm thinking back at the time and I'm just like trying to put things together, like, okay, was this happening when this was happening? And then it's like all getting jumbled in my head.
Okay.
And I don't want to give any.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You're worried about your timelines. You're worried about, don't worry about that. We can work timelines out. We can work timelines out with some other information that we have throughout this case. There's a lot, like you saw.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of evidence in this case.
Yes.
If you can give us the events that occurred, we can work out the timeline. So if you remember a conversation Charlie having with you, I'll work on the timeline of when that occurred. Tell us what conversation you
I don't want to see I don't want to see the wrong thing either.
Well, here,
like,
you
I want
can't
to
say the wrong thing.
make sure that I'm, you know,
Just
The timeline is not the most important issue at this point. For now, the detectives are more interested in the subject of the conversations.
the biggest thing is because you keep thinking about everything you saw in trial. Take that out. We want to go by just by your memory. I know it's hard.
yeah.
Yep.
We're going by just your memory. Anything in trial, like he's saying, the timelines, things that we have now, we can see how that fits in and figure that out later. We're going to want to go from your memory and what you were thinking and your experience, your personal experience with this, how it progressed in that stance. Not taking all the stuff that you saw in trial, all the things that now make you think of it differently.
Yeah.
You want to know about how you thought about it at the time that it happened and how it progressed that way in your own experience. Not by all the stuff you saw. So that should make it easier. So just work on that, and then we can worry about the timeline afterwards. Let's just get through your experience of it when it was happening.
If you were telling us the truth and what you remember, Katie, before any of this nonsense,
Yes.
that's all we're looking for.
Okay.
We will ask the questions to clarify things. You tell us what you remember that led up to this situation.
Okay. Okay. So basically, I mean, like what led up to the situation. When I was talking to Chris, I was like, just like things that are popping up as it went. And a particular day that I was thinking about was Halloween in Lincoln Road, when he did mention, but I don't want to quote anything and I don't want to say anything wrong, like I said, and I just remember it, like, that's the thing, it's like as he's saying things, and like y'all know that Charlie talks a lot, so he's saying things and it's just we're going in circles. I'm not like invested into the conversation like how he's thinking of the conversation. I'm just like, you know, like going basically with the flow. So I remember him that he did mention something about, I don't know if his sister was going through it or his sister was having a hard time with somebody. He never mentioned.
Charlie's sister is Wendy Adelson, Markel's ex-wife. At the time, they were going through a bitter divorce. I recently released another highly intense video on my Patreon, an explosive altercation between two cops, where tension escalated so quickly, resulting in a drawn gun and a devastating gunshot. In a mere 26 seconds, witness the events unfold as two officers engage in a fight that turns deadly. Watch this video and more at patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus.
Dan Markel didn't tell me any names or anything, but that was a particular day, I guess, that I thought back and I didn't even really think about it until like when all of it was like over. And I was like, Chris, I don't know why it's like coming to me now. Like I've said, like I blocked off a lot of things. I don't remember things. Like you can see in my second trial, I was foggy with everything. Like,
And those are obstacles we'll all overcome.
Okay.
We got to overcome them just like you do. I understand you testified and you said things, and we'll deal with it.
Okay.
We understand. And that's, Chris will sit down with you, I'm sure, and that will come. But just like you just did, you had a conversation that was around Halloween. What's Lincoln Road?
that was in Lincoln Road. That's in South Beach. So there's like a Halloween like party where they block off like the whole section.
Lawn party kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's like a bunch of like, it's outside, you know, they always host that event. And I remember when in a parking lot, or like, it was like an outside parking lot, and that's the first time he's mentioned it. And mind you, this was 2013, this is like in the beginning, so I didn't think much of it. Like I just literally met him, like this is one of probably an event that I can only pinpoint it because it was a specific, like a particular event. I'm sorry.
Understood. But you don't, specifically what he said, you don't remember.
No,
He just
remember.
mentioned saying his sister was going through something.
Yeah.
And you didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's October, end of October, 1st of November of 2013. You were still working for Sophie Dental, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fairly new in Sophie Dental.
Okay. So go from
From
there.
there, I don't know what happened, or like in between, you know, we started hanging out more. I'm pretty sure every single time, like, you know, he'd either not mention about his sister, but maybe just like family issues, but like not specifically like it's always his sister or whatever. Like, he never really went forth with that.
Okay.
So that was like towards the beginning, and I could just kind of remember, I know I spent New Year's with him, and then so like that's already like towards the end of 2013.
Okay.
And then what about after that? How did it progress from there?
Like I said, I don't know, like whenever he would mention anything about it, maybe every single time that we just, you know, like we'd hang out, I don't know specific dates, like I said, but all of that's been like a blur to me, so.
When you're saying he's mentioned it, is it like he mentioned his frustrations with it, or is he just kind of just talking?
Yeah, he's gonna just like talking, like, you know, like if we're hanging out watching TV, or like I can kind of tell, like, you know, his like if his mom is calling and he's, you know, like they're going through like family issues. He never really told me specifically anything, but you know, you kind of like get the phone and you walk away, like, oh, that was my mom, like talking to me or whatever, like she's stressed out, my dad's stressed out, stuff like that. Nothing particular that I can remember.
So fast forward, I guess that's January, early in the year of 2014. So obviously Dan Markel was murdered in July of 2014. And as you saw in trial, Garcia and Rivera made a trip up in June. What can you tell us about that?
See, that, like, I don't even remember. I mean, obviously, like you're just telling me to like remember from what I remember, not from what I remember from trial.
Right.
I learned a lot of things from the trial. That's why it's so hard, and I want to say the right, you know, not to say the right thing, but like remember from how I remembered, you know, my days. But like my days are consumed with like taking care of my kids. And just, you know, like me going through it was afraid of, like you guys, you know, all heard all the conversations and everything, like just the back and forth.
What led to the two of them making that trip to Tallahassee?
Okay, so when I was, and this is like the hard part because that's the part that I've never spoken of. And from what I just remember, I don't know the specific day, but I do know that Charlie had given a paper in an envelope, but he stuck it inside, like, I had like a diaper bag that I used to use for Kaylee, but I kind of used that as like a weekender bag, and he put it in there. Now, he's probably been talking about like, oh, you know, like, I need somebody to, you know, get beat up or whatever. That's why I'm saying, like, from him, something happening to her husband to, like, obviously murder, that's like two different extremes, and
So you're saying leading up to him putting that in the diaper bag, he was talking about wanting to find somebody to beat him up? It's
like he's, you know, little by little, I think he was feeding stuff in my head that he needed this to be done. But me nonchalantly, like, I was like, okay, you know, like.
Magbanua is trying to see if she can put the responsibility for her actions on Charlie, but she is involved too deeply for that to work.
I know in hindsight I should have, like I said, that's why I beat myself up a lot because, you know, like, I'm like, you know, I was stupid, like, I wasn't, but that's not what my mind frame was at that time. So it was kind of hard for me, and that's what kind of, like, I'm kind of scared of because it's like, are they going to understand this? Because what I was going through a lot, like, mentally with Sigfredo, too, was, you know, a lot of, like, fighting, and so it's like I found comfort in Charlie because obviously he was the good time, and he was the one, you know, that it's like when I'm with him, it wasn't stressful. but it led to my whole life being turned upside down.
Well, let's talk about this real quick. I know you took the stand, like we talked about a while ago, and you got on the stand and you said you didn't remember things.
Yeah.
That's in the past.
Yeah.
We're not worried about what you said on the stand. We're starting clean here. This is a new, clean break. Okay?
I'm sorry.
I know, you're fine. You're fine. Just sit okay.
Relax.
It's okay. Just relax. Yeah, just listen to me. You're already where you are.
Yeah.
Okay? Whatever you tell us now, if you lied about something, if you weren't truthful about something, it doesn't matter at this point. You're not going to get in more trouble for it. Okay?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now's the time to be totally truthful with us. It's just, to come totally clean, tell the whole truth all the way through from the beginning. Because Charlie didn't just slip a letter in without you talking about Sigfredo and getting to that point. That's what we're talking about. Tell us how you got to that point. I understand you're not going to remember time frames and things like that, and Charlie may have done this and done that and kind of led you to that, but how did that happen? What kind of conversations did you have about Sigfredo with him? And how did it lead up to that?
But the whole time, it's like I felt as if Charlie kept planting this seed in my head. Obviously, I don't know if he knew of Sigfredo. He probably knew of Sigfredo from what, me venting and saying he's giving me a hard time, in that point. But far from I know that he's probably know that he's gotten in trouble in the past. But Sigfredo's since that we've been together, I try to keep him on the narrow and stay away from trouble and with family life. Right. So that's what this is through time that he's probably just been saying things and I'm just agreeing with it. Again, I beat myself up for it because it's I wasn't paying attention to things. I was being nonchalant about it, and just being oh, okay, and then kind of just then when I'm with Sigfredo, I'm relaying stuff to him, but them really not knowing, obviously even with conversations, it's I never said oh, I'm talking to Tuto, or with him, he doesn't want to hear that I'm talking with Charlie.
Right.
But at the same time, it's they both know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Or they know.
So what kind of stuff were you relaying?
Right.
Without Magbanua, Charlie would have never connected with Garcia and Rivera. He also would not have known that they would be willing to commit murder without Magbanua coordinating all the details.
Through each other?
Yeah.
That's where it gets a little blurry because that's through time that we're just...
Right. You don't have to say specifics. Just give us a roundabout summary of what the conversations were about. Because I understand you're not going to remember exactly what you said or exactly what they said, but you know the context of the conversation that you had.
That led up to this.
Everything that led up
Well,
to it.
maybe give me an example. So he stuck this envelope
Yeah.
in your bag.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know
I
what
mean,
to do with
it
that?
had information
But
about...
how did you know what to do with it?
Because he's been kind of mentioning, oh, I need this, I need somebody to take care of this, and, I know, obviously I'm going to Sigfredo about it, but then as I'm relaying to Sigfredo, I'm not saying, I don't really know specifics, that's why...
So what are you relaying to Sigfredo?
Yeah.
You just said, I need someone to take care of this. I know it's hard to talk about, but we know what you're talking about, and we need you to talk about it. It's going to be, I know it's hard to say, what is he saying this is? I need somebody to take care of this. What is this?
Oh, the problem with when these, I don't think he ever mentioned about her husband or whatever, but just somebody that's been,
I'm fine with you. You're fine with that. That you didn't know that Dan Markel was Wendy's husband.
yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
What did he tell you? What did he say?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, move on. We're good with that. Yes, that is totally. I understand that they didn't have the same last name. Lowe's husband and wife, you would think.
So what was he telling you exactly?
It is hard to believe that Magbanua wasn't aware of the connection and didn't take more of an interest in the person she was helping to murder. On the other hand, she may have been willing to take the money without asking too many questions.
That he needed somebody to go up to. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
We can understand if you're summarizing.
Right.
You're summarizing. We don't expect you to remember exact conversations, but you know the context, which is
Right.
the actual meat of what the conversation was about. That's what we need from you.
Okay.
Like the actual
What
topic.
did he mean? What did he say to you, basically? Just in general.
That he needed somebody to get hurt, but like not to get to that point, from my understanding, was not to get killed, but to maybe like, I don't know, if like rough up or beat up or whatever
Okay.
at that point.
Okay.
So but that's what I'm saying, like I just, little by little, maybe he's like feeding things in my head, but I can't remember those specifics, and
Okay, so then you're relaying now to Sigfredo. So what are you relaying to Sigfredo? And I know you're not saying Charlie wants me, you're just talking to Sigfredo about a friend that has this problem. What's the problem you're telling Sigfredo?
just that,
What
that it's
exactly?
like somebody, like, I'm sorry, like, I just, like,
I know, I understand what you're
I'm
trying to say.
like, not,
Right, we know what you're trying to say, but we need you to say it. We can't say it for you.
Here's where I think you are. It's hard for you to say.
Right.
It's more hard for you to say than less of you don't know what to say. I think this is where this agreement that's signed into, this is where you have to clear your conscience. This is where you just say what you're trying to say. Get it out. We can talk about it. We're going to talk to Chris about this. Obviously, there's a lot of conversations to be had after this meeting that we're having
a
today.
lot of conversation.
Not with you.
Not with you.
Not with you. No.
Between the prosecutors.
No, between us, and there's just a lot that has to go on after this. So just say it. Just come out with what you're talking. So Charlie's giving you something, and you're giving Garcia something. What is it?
What's the agreement? What was Charlie going to do?
Something, yeah, like something needed to be taken care of for him,
And
for
what was
for Dan Markel.
Okay. And what was Charlie getting in return? Was he doing anything in return? What was he willing to do? If
Well, yeah, like he would have, like the money wise, obviously, like, you know, like they would be, like Charlie's like, oh, they're going to be taken care of, that they're going to be taken care of.
Did he ever give you a number?
what's the number?
No, he didn't give me the number, he didn't give me a specific number for it.
He just said, "Go do this, and I'll take care of you." He didn't say how much or anything.
No, not to me. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like now, like, you know how you guys were talking about like the $100,000 or whatever, like, he never said that amount to me. Like, I just know that they're going to be taken care of. Like, he was assuring me that they're going to be taken care of. Obviously, has nothing to do, you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have those facts
Okay.
for,
How did he know who was going to take care of it, or who he needed to take care of?
I mean, I figured he knew that I was like going to go to somebody that I trusted and relay that to Sigfredo.
Okay. So he knew
I just
Sigfredo.
don't, that's what I don't know, that if he knew Sigfredo like that.
Did you tell him it was Sigfredo though?
No, I
So
never
you
mentioned
just-
that
you
it
never-
was,
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
But you told him you would have it taken care of. He used to tell him about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we're jumping around a lot.
I know, and
So
Wait,
you,
Well, the problem is
I just don't want to go the roundabout, like, you know.
we're trying to
like,
get directly to it, and that's what we. And you can help us with that as well. Just say it. Sometimes just let it go. You know, the envelope that was in the bag. What was it?
I never looked at it. He told me, do not touch it, do not open it. That he had, he would, as time went, like, you know, I think back about the things that he's saying, and then he's like, oh, like, I never keep money in my house. Like, why is he telling me that? Like, now in my head, I'm like, okay, is he telling me that so that he won't get robbed? Like, he won't turn around and he would, well, yeah, hindsight, like I'm saying, like, I figured this out later on. You know, he did have that safe in his house, but he'd always be like, well, I don't keep money in that, or I never saw any, you know, like he's opened it before, but I've never like looked inside and see anything inside. When he on that paper, which I felt like that had all the information, and obviously I had given that to Sigfredo, but when I gave it to Sigfredo, like I never, like, it was in my bag, and then I had told Sigfredo, like, oh, like, the paper's there, like, and he never showed it to me. He took it and then he left. Like,
And this would have been prior to the trip they made up in June.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if he had given me that that paper.
Did he, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Did Fredo ever tell you what was written on it?
No.
Okay.
And that's like the information that I wish I had, because that's why
That's
I was
fine.
so
Don't make it
hesitant
up.
to even.
Don't make it up. Don't fill in a gap that you don't know the answer to.
I just want to confirm one thing on this. So you told Charlie you would have it taken care of. So Charlie didn't know you were going to Sigfredo, but he probably assumed, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't tell Sigfredo it's from Charlie, and you didn't tell Charlie you're going to Sigfredo. You just told him that you would have it taken care of.
Yes. Yeah.
I understood what you were saying.
Yes.
So obviously you told him that you had somebody that could do this, or he wouldn't just give it to you and say, hey, just, how did
Well,
that
yeah,
progress?
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, through time, you know, he just keeps telling me there's something needed to get taken care of. Obviously, he's never said, like, oh, that somebody needed to get killed or anything. He never said that.
Okay.
Magbanua keeps insisting that she doesn't know what Charlie had planned, saying that she knew something was going to happen, but she didn't know exactly what. The setup was too elaborate to be a simple scare tactic. Before we move forward, I want to extend my thanks for watching. This video today has no sponsor, so if you're enjoying it, subscribing helps the channel grow. You can also check out my second channel, Stranger Crimes, after this video.
But it's like, okay, through time, he's like feeding to me, oh, this needs to be taken care of, this needs to be taken care of. And then one night that I had slept over there, he had put that in my purse. He's like, do not open it, Katie, like, do not touch it. Even when I put it inside in the envelope, like, he's telling me things that he did. And, you know, like, I used gloves, I didn't print it in my computer. Like, he's telling me, he's like forewarning me, like, don't even think. Like, I guess he didn't think that, you know, like, he didn't want me to, like, obviously blackmail him or something maybe after, or.
At what point did you tell him you had somebody that can take care of this? If he's feeding you this information for him to print this out and take this step, at some point you had to tell him you had someone that can take care of it.
What did you tell him to?
That was, like, going back again, that day that he had asked me in Halloween in the parking lot. I was like, oh, okay. You know, obviously the first thing in my head was like, oh, if somebody need to get beat up, whatever, like, Sigfredo's, you know, like, that's money for him.
So
What
Halloween
did
is
you tell
when
him?
you told him.
The one that
You
how
said
did I tell?
How did you tell him that you had somebody? When you said Halloween, is that when you told him that you had somebody that could do it, or?
To Charlie, yes. Yeah, I probably suggested, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know somebody.
Okay, so you're saying that was at the Halloween thing?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
It's
all the way back in
just
October.
stuck, yeah, it's stuck out to
Okay,
me.
that's what I wanted,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to get a clarification on.
So you told him you had somebody, you just didn't tell him who.
Yes,
And you just left it at that.
yes.
And you didn't ask him how much he could pay, how he could take care of, any of that.
He just always, he's always told me is like, oh, they'll be taken care of. Didn't give me an amount, didn't tell me.
So what did you
You
tell
know.
Sigfredo to get him to do it?
Like I said, I don't know how I told Sigfredo. I probably told him like, hey, like, you know, you can make some type of money if you take care of this for somebody else. He's like, okay.
But you didn't tell him how much?
No, I didn't know.
Or never gave you an amount or anything?
No, he
You
just
trusted
always
he would
said,
pay you?
yeah, I guess, stupidly, yeah. I figured
And Sigfredo
they
trusted
can,
you
like,
enough.
yeah, like, it's, like I said, like, you got, like, you know, I'm the middle person, obviously, I see everything now, like, yeah, like, it was going through me, but I know.
And it's fine.
You look back now and you feel,
I'm like, that's what I told Tara. I was like, listen, like, I was manipulated, I was used, I was, you know, and it's like, and I feel stupid because it's like, you guys are even, like,
keep it down.
I know, like, even through trial, like, you guys are, it's like, yeah, and I'm being truthful, and that, like, when I see everything, it's like, of course, everybody's just looking at me like I'm a part of this whole thing. And it's hard for me to, like, it took time, like, you guys didn't know what I was going through in jail. You didn't know, even with family-wise, you know, you met my brother, like, it's, how do you just go about it? Like, okay, I had this whole part in this whole situation, like, even conversations with, like, that's why I was upset too with the Dolce Vita, because it's, once you see it in a different way, you're just, and then you sit back and you're like, I don't remember, like, a lot of the things my brain has literally, and I wish, like, I wish you guys could just put something in my head and just extract all this information, but I can't. Time frame, which I know you guys can guide me with, but it's like, don't know what was said, I don't know how it went about, I just know like what, you know, certain things, and then from there, like I'll probably get back in the dorm, and then, I mean, like when I was in county, and I'll be like, oh my God, like this happened, or this happened, and then after that, it's like I push it away, I've suppressed so much of like the whole situation, and I don't want to waste everybody's time. I know we've gotten to this point.
You're not wasting our time at all.
Magbanua switches her story up a little by saying that she has repressed a lot of what happened. This contradicts her earlier claims of not knowing what was going to happen.
I want an end to this already. Like,
Well, this is a way to the end, but like we said, you got to be totally honest with us.
Yeah.
You got to be truthful. I mean, that's all we're asking you to do.
Yeah.
To the best of your memory, give us everything you can. You know, I know it's hard to talk about. I know you don't want to admit it.
But there's
little things.
Some of it's embarrassing.
It's not just, it's not that, it's just my brain, like I don't know how to explain, my brain has like blocked a lot of things. So I like even, like, and then I second guess myself, and I do, like the last thing I want is obviously this, I already know how this goes, and I do not want to say something that did not happen or did not occur, and that's what I'm afraid of. I don't.
Well, that's what we explained to you. We don't expect you to remember exact verbatim conversations, word for word what you said or what someone
Of
else
course,
said. But
yeah.
you know the context of the conversation, which is like what this conversation was about.
Yeah.
You know what the conversation was about with you and Charlie. You know what the trick-or-treating thing, the Halloween thing, that's when you gave Charlie, after he's been venting to you, you gave him the thumbs up, like, yes, I got someone who could take care of
Well,
this
that's
for
the
you.
first time that he's like kind of mentioned something.
Mentioned you trying to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
But he had been telling you and feeding you up to that about how he's frustrated with his sister's stuff.
Well, yeah, like little bits and pieces
Right.
like that. And then that was like something that stuck out. And then from there on, all that time frame, that's why I just don't even know like what happened in between. But like I said, I was living my life as a mother, taking care of my kids.
Right.
Like, yeah, I should have paid attention. You know, you don't think I beat myself up every day thinking about like I should have paid attention. I should have taken this seriously. But in my head at that time, it wasn't like a contract.
You're thinking
You know,
someone's just
like-
gonna get beat up.
Yes, like somebody to get hurt. Obviously, that's like one thing that, okay, you know, Sigfredo like would do. I mean, like we were financially like not, like he was doing his own thing and God knows what, like, I don't know. I don't even know why I went to him. I don't even know why this whole thing like literally like occurred.
Well, let me ask you
It
this.
just snowballed.
So you know it, and obviously the trial came out, and it was mentioned I don't know how many times. Charlie made the comment to several people throughout the years that, you know, tried hiring a hitman, but a TV was cheaper.
Yeah.
Had he ever made a comment like that to you?
Has he mentioned that
Yeah.
about the hit? I don't.
To you specifically. Not that you remember from trial, but did you and he ever have a conversation like that?
About hiring somebody?
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's joked about it? Yeah. I'm
Do you
pretty sure,
remember,
yeah,
but
like
he
he's
didn't?
joked about it, but it's like we're not even, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's joked about it,
About hiring a hitman?
yeah. He's very free with what he says, you know, and I never take, sometimes, like I said, like I literally like blocked it off.
Okay, so they made a trip up here in June.
Yeah.
Did you all receive any money from Charlie for that trip?
For when they
Like to help pay for the rental car or anything?
I've had, I mean, like, I'm trying to think. Whenever, okay, so Sigfredo got that paper. Like I said, he's never told me anything about it. Obviously, there has to have been information in there. Obviously, either one of them don't want me to know. And I don't want to know. I didn't want to know it, so.
And you told Sigfredo it was in there to get it.
Yeah, to get it, like, just get it off the bag. Like, I think he came over, and then he probably went to the apartment, saw the kids, and I was like, oh, I have a paper for you in the bag, and then I just remember him stuffing it in his shorts and then walking out.
Okay.
And we never spoke about it again.
Okay.
Like, I never asked him, like, oh, what was on that, or whatever, nothing. Like, we didn't have a conversation about it.
Okay.
So, And then like, I don't know when Sigfredo like leaves. I don't know like what his, we'd be good. And then I don't know what's going on with him. And I don't want to know what's going on with him, so I kind of like block that out too. Because whenever I was with Charlie, then obvious, and just like that too, like with conversations, it's not like I'm there like planning things or whatever. It's just whenever I'm not with one, I'm talking to the other. It's not nothing specific or anything that has to do with what happened. It's just, I don't talk to each other if like they're right next to me.
Right.
So obviously you guys weren't financially stable.
Yeah.
Renting a car to drive to Tallahassee is.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I think it's that Charlie has given me money, like I probably told him like, hey, I need some money so that like.
Charlie has given her money numerous times, usually cash, so it could not be traced.
And I would always just say like these people or whatever, but now I'm thinking about it like he knew it was, Sigfredo the whole time. So, yeah, probably like asking for like a
So
couple
Charlie
$100.
would give you all the money to pay for the rental car.
Yeah, like he give it to me and then I give it to Sigfredo, I guess, like so that he can go about wherever he needed to go. But I didn't know about the Tallahassee, like even like anything with
You
Tallahassee.
didn't know where they were going. You just knew that the problem that Charlie had, they were going to handle, and they needed money to deal with it.
Yes.
How did you know about that he needed a rental car? What did Sigfredo say to you about getting a rental car? How did you know it wasn't?
I mean, he doesn't. He has a
Miami. How did you know the problem wasn't in Miami then? How did you know he needed a rental car?
that he had to go travel somewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know, like when, I didn't know anything about like the Tallahassee thing, but I guess he had to go somewhere. It wasn't going to be local.
Okay, so did he
Yeah, I
come
just
to
didn't
you
know
and tell you,
where.
I need money for this, and
Right.
then,
You say, I need money for a car, I need you to get money from your...
how did you know to go to Charlie and ask for the money that he needed, is what he's trying to get.
Well, because from the whole thing with the paper, but he didn't tell me what was on it or whatever, but I figured like he needed to scope someplace out, so if he's gonna go somewhere, then he needs a car
So here,
to do that.
you're trying to answer for Garcia. Answer for you. Garcia came to you and asked for, did he come to you and ask for money? Did he come to you and say, hey, I need money? Hey, what Garcia was doing is totally different.
Yeah.
How did it go from you back to Charlie, back to Garcia? How did that?
I mean, I would assume that that's what Sigfredo told me. He's like telling me like, oh, I need money, like, to go scope this place out. So he needed like a vehicle.
Do you remember having conversations with Garcia about that type of stuff? That, hey, I need money for a rental car. Do you remember having those conversations with him?
That he needed money, yeah, for rental car, I guess so, yeah. And then I would just relay it back to like Charlie, like I need money so that they, yeah.
That's all I was asking.
Yeah.
Just how
And
did
he
you
would
know
give
that
you
you
the
needed
money.
money?
I know it sounds like such a simple thing, but it's like I guess I'm just.
You're trying to go through
my
your
brain.
memory.
Because
Yeah.
it could have been in Miami, right?
Yeah. I guess I mean, I never assumed that it was gonna be in, maybe that was just my assumption, that it wasn't anywhere local.
Yeah.
You know, obviously if he's needing money, like what do you need money for? I'm not gonna ask you specifics. Say you get a car, you need, a place to stay, you need to rent somewhere.
So
I
I was
just-
asking you questions, just trying to refresh your memory
Yes.
so you can bring up
Yes, sir.
details
Yeah.
about what you remember,
Yeah.
okay? So we're not trying to trick you or get you off track.
And
We're
I
just
get
trying to refresh your
that.
memory.
I'm trying to recall back too of like how it even like occurred or what was happening. Yeah.
So at what point, how did Charlie get the money to you? Did he just meet you and give you
I
cash?
mean, like I was hanging out with him, so it'd be like, yeah, he'd give you like
Hey,
a couple
yeah,
$100, yeah, like, and
Okay.
obviously he knew what it was for. Like not like, I'm just like, I didn't think about it. Like, like I wasn't there like, oh, okay, like this is for this and that. Like that wasn't.
As the go-between, Magbanua knew more than she is admitting to the detectives. Charlie would not have continued to give money without knowing exactly what it was for. And if he had been in contact with Garcia himself, he wouldn't have needed Magbanua at all.
I'm just, okay, like I was just okay with it. I was just doing it. Okay, you need the money, okay, I don't want to know what for, I don't know, like obviously now I know the rental and all that stuff, but it's like, I didn't know.
You
Like,
just knew
I
you
got,
get him the money to
Yeah,
take
like,
care of Charlie's
do
problem.
whatever you need to do, whatever, like, and then I would get it from one hand to another.
Okay.
Alright.
At that point, did you know Lewis was involved?
No. That whole thing, yeah, with Lewis was all,
Oh, actually, no.
okay, I know we're gonna be jumping into a lot of things, and I hope I'm not frustrating you,
No,
because
you're
I
fine.
feel
Go
like,
ahead.
You're not frustrating us. No, I'm watching you process it in your head.
and it's like I talk with my hands, I'm getting nervous, like,
It's fine. It's fine.
Go ahead.
because I know, like, my brain is like jumping from one place to another. The whole thing with Lewis is obviously like, and that's how Sigfredo functions too. He never tells me. You think he's gonna tell? He doesn't tell me things. This is what I want you guys to understand. Sigfredo does not tell me things. He tries to keep me away from a lot of things.
Sure.
A lot of things upset me through the trial that I found out that it's like it hurts for me to know, because this is the father of my children. You know, like I'm not like. He's not a bad person. I know it sounds bad, but it's like he's not this person. And granted, I went to him, obviously, stupid mistake for even me to be involved in any of this. But when the whole I guess the bump or whatever, and like the weird phone calls and Charlie telling me this thing or whatever, little by little I kind of like, and then the whole Lewis thing, and that's what like clicked in my head. I was like, Lewis, like Tato and Tuto, like, you know, they always mistake their names. And then I'm just like again, me and Sigfredo, we never had a chance to like talk. Like he doesn't, like I've asked that, you know, I've asked plenty of times, like, Tara, why can't we be in a room with, you know, Sigfredo? Like, I need to know these things. Like, I can't answer these questions. I know it's kind of just like, I know to protect, like, you know, like both sides or whatever, but I needed to see him face to face. I needed that, like now it's like we've been so separated so far, it's like, I don't even know.
See, the problem is we don't want you talking about what Sigfredo told you after the fact. We want you telling us what you know leading up to all this and during all of this. You were with Sigfredo. You were with Charlie.
Yeah.
You were part of a lot of these conversations.
Yes.
And that's what we want to hear from you, is what those conversations were and how they went along. I mean, at one point you did know Lewis was involved because you tried calling Lewis to get a hold of Sigfredo right after the murder.
Yeah.
You had his old number.
Yeah.
You called his old number, so somehow you did know that he was with Lewis. That's why you tried to call Lewis.
But I never knew, like, I really honestly never knew that he would, like, that Lewis, I mean, obviously, like, now I think about it, like, they're always together, like, but at that time, I'm trying to reach Sigfredo. I don't know what made me, like, call him or him call me, or I'm just trying to reach him. I'm trying to get to him.
Yeah, and he's the only one you tried to call at that time until you got a hold of Ortiz, but anyways.
Before that trip, you knew that he was going with him on that trip.
No, I never knew that he was
So
going
how
with
did you
him.
know to call him?
Maybe not the first trip, but the second trip you knew he was there, right? Because you were talking to him during that second trip, right?
Talking
to Sigfredo.
Yeah, but he never told me that he was with Lewis. Like, he never
explained that to
He
me.
never told me that he was with Lewis.
Okay.
Because even with the whole thing, with the whole bump and everything, like that started coming out, and that's why I was like, why does it seem like, to me, that Sigfredo was, you know, like something was going on with Lewis. Like he was almost kind of like, oh, let me find out, like, what is somebody talking to Lewis, or is he like talking to, you know, like police or whatever about something, because why is his name coming up? But he never told me anything that he was with Lewis. Like, I know, like, that's one thing that I know, like, I never knew, because I didn't know that till later on.
Okay.
And I know that I called him, but it's like, I don't know what made me call him that day, or if I had seen him beforehand, or...
Okay.
So in June,
The timing of the call is too convenient to be a coincidence, but the detectives are willing to let that point slide for now.
they made a trip up, and nothing happened. Did you know, was there any conversation after the June trip with you and Garcia about nothing happening?
Was there a conversation after that?
Yeah.
Not that I can recall, no.
I mean, because obviously it didn't, and so I'm wondering, what triggered them going back again in July?
And how do they fund that too? So obviously something had to go back and forth to Charlie to know that there's gonna be a second trip. So what?
Tell us about it. Tell us what you
I don't
remember.
know, I just like, I can't, okay, because, okay, June, you said that they went, yeah, well, obviously they went, or just one, I don't like, that's
They
what,
both
I don't.
Yeah, they both went in June.
Uh-huh.
And they both came back. And then actually, I think Wendy came down to Miami, and that's when you all went to the beach.
That was around June?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I have never spoken to Wendy about anything, like,
That was the next question.
yeah, like I've never spoken to Wendy about.
So you tell us, does Wendy know, did Wendy know about this? Did Wendy know what was going on here? Did she know
From that
about
time, I mean, I think they kept it like, I think Charlie's always said that my family doesn't know anything, like, or Wendy doesn't know anything. So at some point, I mean, I figured out that with Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Charlie would say
Wendy's
to you,
always
my
like-
family knows nothing?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, see, this is where it gets difficult because it's like you know, like, with the whole, okay, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's I don't know, like, I just feel like every single time that, like, Charlie would, like, talk to his mom, like, it was always, like, if I was, like, in the house, like, he never talked to her, like, on the phone with me, he'd always walk away and stuff, but I almost feel like his mom always knew something was going on, or something needed to be taken care of.
What do you ever
Like
tell
his
you
mom.
though? He would never tell you?
I mean, like, he kind of, like, he was the type that he would realize, like, oh, like, my family doesn't know anything about that, but in my head, I'm like, okay, then why do you walk away, and, you know, like, whenever we're talking about something, or, like, you know, like, you don't want me to hear it, like, you don't want me to hear something.
Email messages from Donna to Wendy showed that both knew that something was going on and that Donna was likely the one who was pulling the strings.
So, obviously, his mom must have known something.
Well, later on, throughout the whole bump, Charlie tried to get you to come down and meet with his parents. Do you remember that? We even played those calls in trial, so you've heard that call again since you've had the calls.
But not to meet his parents, it was to meet him.
To meet his parents, because you decided not to go inside. You said, meet me down the street at the restaurant. I don't want to meet your parents. I want to meet down the street at the
I don't
restaurant.
think I ever said I'm going to meet your parents.
That was on the calls. He was wanting you to. He was wanting you to come into the Icon and meet with his parents. And you were like, yeah, I want you to come down. I don't want to come in there with them, and I want you to come down to Charlie. So
Yeah, like, I don't.
you don't remember that either?
No, I remember meeting up with him, but I don't remember him, like, insinuating, like, oh, you'd have. He said that he was with his parents, but I've never, like, been
never met with his
and
parents at
all. No, not like
Okay.
together like that. Like, we're all together now.
So you never had any conversations with his mom, Wendy?
No, never had a conversation with Wendy. Never had a conversation with his mom. Now, my opinions on that is completely different.
Like you watched trial if you did.
Yeah, like, obviously, like I said, like, I put you know, like, that's how my brain is working too. It's like I'm putting things, and I was like, okay, what's this
But what you
happening
just
again?
said is what you know.
Yes.
And that's literally all we're here trying to do.
Yeah.
Do not guess
And I
on
don't want
what
to
you
say
would
my opinion, and I don't want to, like, I don't
And we
want to
will know the difference in your opinion, but what you know and what you heard is all we're here trying to get to.
Well, what
If
you've
you believe
seen
something, that's
and
fine.
what you heard is important, even though what developed your opinion.
Yeah.
Did you see something outside of what you saw in trial? Did you see something before trial, before all this happened, that led you to that?
What do you
So
mean by that?
we'll go back to
Did you hear Charlie saying something? Did you see him doing something? Did you experience something that now you think, oh, that's why she knows, because Charlie said this or said that or did that? Is there anything that led you to believe
Well,
that?
the whole conversation with his mom, like, you know, like, again, it's like, it was going back and forth. Like, he's having a conversation with his mom. He must have mentioned something about me because his mom is, like, obviously talking about me.
You're talking about the Title III calls again. What you heard in trial?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll backtrack. Let's go back to July of 2014. They make another trip. Was the circumstances surrounding that was similar to the other one where money had to be exchanged to rent a car?
Yeah, if Sifredo had asked me, like, you
Do you
know,
remember that?
if you didn't have any money, you probably would have asked me like, hey, I need some money.
But do you remember?
I don't.
You don't remember
I
it?
don't remember if he had asked me for money for
Do
that.
you remember Sigfredo going to Tallahassee?
No, this is the whole time.
So I'm asking a couple specific things in this world because these are just things I'm trying to confirm. So, do you remember anything about and Rivera testified about this stuff? Do you remember anything about the Instagram and Rivera posting something stupid?
What he was talking about, like the tiger or whatever he had.
Yeah.
It has changed, yes. It might be a zebra next week. I don't know.
I mean, like through the trial and stuff, but
No,
nothing
but
that
do you
happened.
remember?
Oh, like
you
him,
personally-
that happening? No.
Yeah. You don't remember calling and saying, "Hey, you dumbass, you put something on." I don't remember what you said.
No, I would have. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I never knew about Louis being with Sigfredo.
Alright, so
Like
let's go
I
to
just like I don't know how much I can trust him, but like
let's go
I
to the
don't
part
know.
about after it's done. And there's a phone call between you and Garcia. It's the first phone call, you've seen it 1,000 times. First phone call after it's completed, they're about an hour and a half away from Tallahassee. And Rivera says he hears you and Garcia talking. Where were you when that conversation took place?
Garcia made an incriminating post on social media shortly after the murder, giving away his location. Magbanua angrily confronted him and forced him to take it down.
When I was talking to Sigfredo on the phone,
After Dan has already been shot.
what was he saying that like I know, or like I said I know,
Yeah.
but I never said I know, or even
I-
had a
we're getting
conversation.
there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. So where were you? Yeah. Do you remember where you were when that call was made?
No.
Okay. So
I
you
mean,
don't remember?
Me and Sigfredo would talk, but I don't know. Like maybe I was in the house, in my house, in Treasure Drive.
Okay.
It's either that or I was. I don't remember. I don't recall.
Well,
what was that.
let's get this. You did take money from Charlie's house
Yes.
and take it and meet Garcia and Rivera.
The day after.
That's where it gets a little blurry for me too, because I had gone to Lewis's house plenty of times and going.
okay, irrelevant.
Yeah.
You took money.
Yeah.
How much money did you get from Charlie?
I never saw it. He
What was
put
it?
it in the trunk. Okay.
Go through that whole thing. I don't care what day that was. Just tell me what that was.
Okay, the night that Charlie told me to come over to his house and that he was like frantic about everything, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll come over. That's when he had mentioned that about the accident, but I didn't know that Markel got shot. Like I didn't know about that. Like
You knew it was
I don't
her.
think I didn't, not even him. I don't know if it was him that he was, I think so, I guess, but like never saying about like him getting shot or whatever. That's why that phone call of me knowing would have never occurred, because I wouldn't even know anything, and Charlie didn't say anything on the phone.
Well, obviously a phone call occurred because there's records of that, and you and Garcia talked.
Well, yeah, like of me
But
saying
you don't
that.
remember the specifics that Rivera's telling
Yes,
us.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
fine, that's fine. We
Okay.
can work with that.
Before you went to Charlie's, you went and met with Sigfredo. When they got back to town that night, you went and met with Sigfredo. Then you went to Charlie's. You remember that?
I don't think I met with Sigfredo though, like, I
You
had
talking
records
to
that I
him,
was
then
talking to him.
Talked to him, and then you showed up right there when they were close to her house, and the records show you all, they went to was it Duffy's? Is that the sports bar they went to?
That was close by or
Yeah,
whatever.
right, close by.
I don't recall meeting up with Sigfredo. I do recall going to Charlie's house.
Because right after that, that's when you talked to Charlie and you drove up there to Charlie's house. It was right after you.
Because I know I left and we were like, Charlie was telling me to come over to his house.
Do you
At that
remember
time, he
meeting
was kind
with
of.
Sigfredo after we got back and telling you that it's taken care of or any of that? Like, do you remember meeting with him when he got back in town?
When he got back in town.
And I understand you don't know that they at this time that he killed him or shot him, but do you remember him meeting saying that this is handled? We handled this for your friend or anything?
After that, I don't know if he might have come. I don't know.
I'm just saying,
not
what made
gonna
you
say
facilitate
that
a phone call with Charlie to get the money?
Well, obviously Charlie knew something happened. Therefore, when that happened, he was supposed to have like money like ready, because he knew that he had to pay.
So that was the understanding once it was done that he was to pay right away.
Yeah, but I wasn't. like, I didn't know I'm going up there to go meet up with Charlie so that I could, you know, to get that. Like, he doesn't want to say anything, obviously, on the phone.
Right.
So when I got up there, I just remember that he was like frantic, and he was just like, I even remember he had like a gun with him, and I was just like, what? Like, but he was like just acting weird at that when I got to his house. And I know he had taken like a Xanax, and then I might have too, because we just fell asleep. Like, I can't even recall like what conversation was happening or whatever. I just know that he, in the morning before I left, he's like, hey, it's in your trunk. And I was like, okay, in my understanding that's like the money in my trunk. Never looked at it, never opened anything, never had it like in my hand.
Okay. So when you met up with him, where'd you meet up with him at?
With who? With Charlie?
No, with Garcia and Rivera.
So you left Charlie's house that next morning.
The money, and then what
Yes.
happened? Tell us
Okay,
what happened
when
next.
I drove back down, I think that's when I'm trying to look for Sigfredo, and he was like nowhere to be found, and that's when I had like called, I don't know if he called me or I called him or whatever, because that's why with the phone number was like confusing me, because other people had their phones, like, remember you told me, I mean, like you said that it wasn't even, it was.
So you mean you called a number you
number.
had for Rivera that somebody else answered?
No, you're talking about Ortiz, aren't you?
Yeah, like I don't know if Sigfredo was he living in that apartment in Biscayne or whatever, like other people were
I
like
can tell you
hanging
where
out.
it was. You know where it was.
Well, I know he was at Shrimp's house,
Yeah, I don't know
But-
where. I think he was couch hopping around that time frame.
Yeah.
but I think he had his apartment too, somewhere along like 70 something in Biscayne.
He could have. To be honest with you.
But either
And
way,
that's where like, you know, all of them hung out or whatever, but like they would exchange phones and stuff, like other people, like, is the Ortiz number Hebreo's phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember Hebrew was always like at his house, so I'm trying to contact them. That's why I'm never trying to contact Lewis.
So you're contacting
that was
Lewis.
later. That was after you tried to call Lewis. You tried to call Lewis first on his old number, and then you called Hebrew after that.
Okay,
But
So all this was
that's
just
the
to
record
find
show.
Sigfredo.
yes,
So all these calls you're making is you now have the money, you left Charlie's house, Charlie gave you the money, it's your understanding, obviously you didn't see it and touch it, I get
yeah,
that, but you knew that he put money in the back to pay it.
yes, yes.
So all these calls you're making is to try and find Sigfredo to give him this money, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Where did you find him?
I think I was parked behind, I don't know if I don't know how it came about, but like I just ended up like in the, kind of like, in the hallway of like the alleyway of Lewis's, apartment.
Mhm.
And he just like jumped inside the car out of nowhere, like he
Lewis
was,
did?
no,
Oh, Sigfredo
Sigfredo did.
Oh, okay.
Cause, you know, I guess he didn't want me to know that he was somewhere else, and clearly he was at Shrimp's house, and, you know, I couldn't find him or anything.
What made you go
So-
to the alleyway outside of Lewis's
I think he
apartment?
told me to go over there, or,
So you got a hold of him on the phone and he told you to go meet him over there?
yeah, I just thought that I had to go over there.
Okay.
What happened then?
So he goes, he gets in the car, I was like, hey, you know, you got a package in the back, grabs it, and goes. And then I left to go home because, yeah, I left to go home.
Did you ever see it at all?
No, I never saw the
Like in the
package.
package, you never, he just jumped out,
No.
grabbed it out of the trunk.
Yeah.
And he didn't give you a third
He-
of that money?
He didn't give me money till like he came back like later on. I don't know if it was the same day, but like then he gave me money.
How much did he give you?
I didn't like, I don't know. it
Came
was-
back
You
where?
can ask your random question. Was it stable?
Okay.
It came
So
out.
you can't, you don't know how much he gave you, is that what you said?
Huh?
You don't know how much he gave you?
No, he didn't. I
What
mean,
did it
I
look like?
didn't count. Like I know it was, you know, it was.
After everything she had done, Magbanua should have known exactly how much money she had been owed and would have checked to make sure Garcia gave her the correct amount.
A couple stats, but it's like I didn't, like, not a specific number. And I'm not gonna say like 30 because that's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's a number that's like sticking out and
Yeah, that's what Rivera said.
What's the
Yeah.
stacks of what? Stacks of what exactly?
stacks of like staple money.
What were the bills? Do you remember the size of the bill?
How much? What kind of bills were they? $1 bills?
I think they were like hundreds and then maybe like hundreds and like 20, like, you know, 20s, like, and
And they were staple.
yes.
Okay. Where were you at when he brought you that money?
I was in my apartment.
So he came back to your apartment?
Yes.
So the next part of it gets a little.
Well, can I just, I mean, like, I don't want to, like, because I just want to get it out of my head so that you get, you know, obviously, I just know it was kind of like, and there's another thing that stick out, like, that Charlie was saying about, like, oh, like, cleaning the money, or like actually, I guess, cleaning the money, because it was like, after, like, I got the money and I put it away in my closet. Like I said, like, that's why I don't know the amount. I never counted it. I'm not there sitting and counting it. But it did, like, get moldy. Like, it was, like, wet. Like, it was, like, moisture. So I think it was literally, like, washed. Because it was, like, I was like, hey, like, this thing, like, looks like, and I'm thinking in my head, well, yeah. But, like, he said stuff like that, and I just, you know, I didn't think about, like, actually, I didn't feel for it that it was wet or anything, but, you know, it started getting, like, moldy and stuff, and I was like, oh, the money that you gave me is, like, moldy. Like, I think it was just wet. He was just like, just dry it, just blow dry it, and I was like, okay. And then that was, like, the end of it.
So Charlie's the one that was talking about cleaning the money.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Like I said, Charlie makes these, like, comments and things that, like, I would be oblivious to and not really pay attention to until, like, after, like, I'm, you know, things that he's saying. Like I said, he's like, he made sure that I knew that he didn't print that whatever it was in the envelope, you know, like, he's like, oh, I wear gloves when I put it in. Like, he's telling me things so that, I guess, like, you know, he wouldn't be blackmailed or whatever.
So there's no way for it to come back to him.
He was going to.
I mean, he was using me through the whole thing, you know, obviously, like, feeding me other stuff, and I believed it,
Right.
like an idiot.
So when Sigfredo paid you the money and he came back to your apartment and he gave it to you, did he tell you anything about what happened or how it happened?
You know, he never told me any details.
Okay. At what point did you find out that Dan Markel was dead?
That I don't remember. I know from, like, the whole bump, like, at that point,
Before that?
something, I don't know if, like, somebody passed away. I mean, like, if he passed away or anything, or, like, that even, that's where it gets blurry for me, because I don't know when I found out that would have, you know.
You obviously knew before the bump, because that happened a couple years later.
2 years later.
2 years later, so.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
at what
I
point,
just don't know.
because you're working for Charlie, he's paying, you're supposedly cleaning the office is what you said, right? And he's paying you money. At what point, while that's happening, do you know that he's dead at that point? Because the funeral's already happened, things are already on the news, all that stuff's happening already.
I believe so. I think, yeah, like,
Do you know who told you, or how you found out?
I don't know if it was Charlie that told me.
Okay.
I gotta go back. When Garcia gave you the money, did he tell you why, or did you know why?
I just knew that he had to take care. He did something that he's getting paid for. Like,
And he gave
that's
you
it.
money?
Yeah. He didn't tell me, like, what happened or how he got it.
So you knew that
I mean,
was
like,
Yeah,
got it
you
for
got
me,
it.
but, you know.
you knew that was your portion of what Charlie put in that.
I mean, Sigfredo just tends to give me, you know, like, he even, like, if he knows that I was, like, a stickler about, like, you know, like, hey, you have to help me out with the kids or whatever. Like, that's why I even put him on child support, because obviously he blew through whatever money he had. I don't know how much money he had. I know he got, you know, like, he just gave me a portion of it, and I don't know if that has something to do with his portion too, but I usually have.
Was there an understanding that you were gonna get a portion of it once they take care of this, for helping?
Yeah, I mean, he was just gonna pay, like, not
Right.
like, this is your specific portion, but he's like.
It was
he's
understanding
gonna
you
give
get
me
some.
money. Yeah.
Right, you
I mean,
didn't know
he
amount.
was- Yeah.
Okay, so there's an understanding that you were gonna get some money.
Magbanua isn't being honest about her payment. This isn't the kind of action someone coordinates without knowing how much they will make for the risk they're taking.
Once this was completed from what Charlie was paying.
Well, for him to do this, like, it was just, it's so that I can have money, yeah,
Right.
like, you know.
That's what I wanted to clear up.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear all that up, because I know it's all processing in your head, you're going back and forth, so I wanna make sure we have it clear as to what your understanding of it was at that moment. Because that's all we're caring about, is your your
My involvement,
perspective, your involvement,
Yeah.
what you saw and experienced during this encounter.
What knowledge you have, it's not so much your involvement, because no matter what you did, it's over with for you now. You don't have anything else to get in trouble for. I want you to understand that. I know you don't want the perception, and it's hard to admit that, yes, I did this and it was wrong. It's hard to admit it, and I know that's a problem for you, and you don't want that out there, and this is probably a conversation where if your attorney was here, we would step out and he'd have another conversation with you about this, because it's really important that you tell us everything that you know.
Yeah.
And, it's time now, because nothing worse is going to happen to you. For anything that you know or that you say, nothing worse is going to happen to you. Let me ask you this, where are your kids right now?
Oh, with my family.
You're staying with your brother still?
Yeah.
Okay. Has anybody ever threatened you or promised you anything not to testify or not to cooperate in this?
No.
Nobody's ever
Nobody's ever
no
threatened
coercion
me.
whatsoever
Nothing.
of why you didn't want to cooperate early on or anything else?
And that's a whole nother ballgame of why I never even went for it. Even from the first day that I had gotten arrested, with everything being retracted, we were all still confused. We were even when Sigfredo got arrested, and I'm I blocked everything off. Everybody's blowing up my phone trying to tell me what happened or whatever, and that he was involved in all of this. It's I just didn't want to hear anything about it. I didn't go off. You think I was there Googling? I did not want to know. I know I had to take care of my kids, and that's it. And I just
read the probable cause with the attorney early on, so you knew what the facts were of what
was Sigfredo. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, I knew the facts from his probable cause.
Right.
I went to go hire his attorney. So it's his attorney started advising me, telling me hey, you might, need to get your own attorney, because you have, they're saying your name and all this stuff or whatever, just to protect myself. And that's when I had hired Tara. Well, I had somebody else, and then I hired Tara after.
Okay. Well, here's what. You ever heard the term minimization? Minimizing someone's role in something? A lot of people have a hard time admitting to what they did and what their role is in something, and it's called minimizing. They minimize their role in it, and I don't want you to do that here, okay? Because it's only going to hurt you.
I know.
We have a strong case on Charlie. It's stronger than what we had on you.
Yeah.
This is not something that we have to have you or anything. We're hoping you're going to tell us the truth, and we're hoping you're going to come forward and tell us everything.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want you to minimize this, because it's only going to hurt yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I get.
But that's why it's and I get it, and I get.
Because everything you're telling us is how you didn't know this, you weren't aware of this and that.
Because nothing was ever for certain, and that's why I say it in that way. This whole thing, the whole time, I was. And I'm not going to put blame on anybody else or whatever, because I take accountable of all of this, and that's why I've been fighting. I'm fighting the whole time too, is because it's what am I supposed to do? If I was to have cooperated from the beginning, that destroys everything, even Sigfredo, even, and I get it, and I get you guys, everybody's already had this whole perception. I just want a chance to get home to my children. This is why I'm in this situation right now.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to tell you right now, is being totally honest is what can help you.
But
if you're holding back and trying to minimize your role in this, it's only going to hurt you. Okay? Does that make sense?
I understand that, but I'm not going to be, but it's to the point too that I'm I wasn't for certain with a lot of things. And that's why I'm not going to go.
I understand you're not certain what was going to happen. You're not certain how they were going to handle it or what the actual planning of any of it was, but it was understanding, there was some kind of communication, some kind of conversations that happened, where it was an understanding to you that Charlie was going to give you money and you were going to have Sigfredo take care of Charlie's problem. That was a certain understanding,
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I understand that you don't remember the exact words of how it was said, but that was an absolute, right?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
knew that he was going to pay you money
Yes, ma'am.
to give to Sigfredo to take care of the problem. You knew that you were going to get a portion of that money for taking care of this problem for Charlie. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what we're getting. We understand you won't remember exact words and exact conversations, but the actual context, that's what the context means.
Yeah.
is the actual conversation, the understanding of what is gonna occur and how you're gonna be compensated for taking care of that issue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's what we need to get to, is those conversations and how the planning of it and how it came about, and then how once it was taken care of.
The detectives have called Magbanua out on her attempts to deflect some of the responsibility. This means they aren't going to keep letting her get away with saying that she doesn't recall certain events or that she doesn't know most of the details.
How the compensation happened and how they knew to compensate at that point. And then
I mean, it was
everything that happened
basically
afterwards.
like an understanding without verbalizing it. That's the part. It's like, okay, like that's gonna happen, and then like again, I just relay, but I can't tell you like specifically. I think it's designed for me to really not know, and that's the part. Don't you think if I would have known specifics and everything up from the day one, I would have been like, hey, you don't want to spend.
But you knew you
One
could
of
have
our
money.
assumptions
I
was
know, but
always
I'm
that.
saying like, keep me happy.
Well, we only got 45 minutes, so let's talk about the things you don't know. Let's try to talk about things that you know that we don't know, that like conversations you had with Charlie after the bump, things like that. Conversations you had over the phone that weren't recorded or through WhatsApp. Did he at some point come to you and tell you to switch over to WhatsApp?
We've
During the
used
bump?
WhatsApp every now and then, so it was never like to just, okay, talk to me
So
through
y'all been doing
WhatsApp.
it for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of those conversations you had with him about this, even after the bump? Some things that we don't know about.
Because that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like, I mean, all that stuff has been recorded, but I never thought, we're not really thinking that it's like we're being recorded at that time. I guess he was thinking that he was being recorded.
Okay, so he was. But that conversation at Dolce Vita,
Yes.
what do you remember about that conversation?
Well, that's when, okay, so the bump happened, right? And then he had spoken to his mom.
Yes.
Obviously, his mom was freaking out about something, and that's why he needed to talk to me. So when he spoke to me about it, he's feeling me out, and I'm like trying to find out what's going on and stuff, but not really like I wasn't taking it seriously. Like I wasn't like heightened by it. Like, okay, like it's a serious situation, but I was like at the same time, I'm
I
like
think you
moving
had
off.
that thought for a little while.
It was, but so when y'all first met,
It was almost like
right? He wasn't
was she
sure.
trying to snitch on.
He didn't know
Yeah.
if you were setting him up and kind of the same.
Okay.
When y'all first met in the car first. Do you remember that now?
Yeah.
Y'all first met in the car. What did he say in the car to you when you first sat down? He said, "All right, I just met with my mom." Blah. What did he say?
I don't, like he didn't say, nothing that's
He
staying
told you about
there.
the bump, right? He told you what happened there. This is the very first time he told you about the bump. Because
Okay.
over the phone you couldn't talk about it.
Okay.
He didn't know. He met with his mom in person. He drove to your office. You came out Optimar and you got in his car. What was that? What did he tell you?
I don't
That's a
remember.
big
I
thing
know.
that he talked about.
Because I didn't even remember that time that we spoke in the car until
Until we brought it up again.
Magbanua was the first person that was contacted after the hit. While certain details may have faded over time, she would at least remember the general content of that conversation.
after, like, I didn't even remember, like, okay, like from my understanding, I just probably jumped in his car, like, really quick, and then like, okay, where do you want to eat? Or where do you want to talk? And then,
Well, he showed you the
Going
note,
to-
right? He
no,
showed
he
you the
did
note.
not show me, I swear, he did not ever show me any note, anything. Because even in that video, like, you see him, he's
Pulls
doing
it out,
like
and
this,
he's reading
but
it to
he
you.
never, yeah, like, he read it, but he never showed it to me.
Well,
He
he
made
probably read it
sure.
to you. Did he read it to you? Did he pull it out in the car? Had
He
to-
got some information, like he's like talking about it, but he's never, because why wouldn't he just show it to me? Like, it's like he
Well, he
kept
didn't trust
me.
you. He didn't trust you. He didn't know if you were trying to get more money out of him. He didn't know if it was you extorting him. I get that. But I'm just trying to get you, what did he tell you in that car? We weren't part of that conversation. We recorded that.
And nothing that stuck out to me that,
Nothing.
you know.
Do you remember? Okay.
I literally felt like we just went, I went in his car, like he's like, oh, probably like parked over here, like where are we gonna eat?
Okay.
But no conversation about anything. And that's why it was like kind of funny too, that, not funny, but you know, like about like maybe he was like frisking to see if I was like wired or something. I'm like, none of that happened. Like literally, we didn't even, like how long were we in the car? I don't even remember being in the car. that long. Nothing stuck out in that conversation.
Okay. Well, another conversation, we talked about a while ago when you drove down there to meet with him, and he was with his parents at the Icon, and you met him at the restaurant. What was that conversation about?
Okay, when I had met out, because I was getting upset too, because I needed to get something signed from him for like insurance purposes or whatever, and then I had it with me, and I was already in a fight with Sigfredo. That's why I was like in Yendra's house. But I was telling him like meet me somewhere closer. I didn't want to go drive all the way down to South Beach or whatever, but he was talking to his parents.
That's the phone conversation. I get that. We have that.
Yeah.
We know what you said on the phone. What happened when you got there?
When I got there, he was already like, I was trying to look for him, and he already finished his conversation with his parents. So whatever his conversation with his parents is probably something that he relied to me, but I can't remember what we spoke about. Probably the bump, that's the only thing that.
Because that's what happened. You weren't talking on the phone anymore. Y'all were meeting in person at this point. So he would meet in person and talk to you about all this.
The bump already happened, right? So this is when he had spoken to me. So he's probably like just telling me.
Not that probably. Tell us what he told you about the bump. Not he's probably telling me, or you're assuming. Tell us what he told you about the bump.
That his mom got approached, and that's when the whole Lewis thing started sticking out in my head.
So tell us the best you can recall about that conversation, how he told you that. So he told you his mom got approached, what else? Not the Lewis conversation, what was the Lewis conversation?
Okay, that his mom got approached, and that his mom somebody said my name to his mom, so I don't even know, because I'm a little bit, I'm kind of confused now. I'm
confused with what you remember and what you're trying
to... like what happened, what occurred or whatever, because it's like the whole Dolce Vita, I was even confused when we were talking.
What were you confused about?
When he was asking me questions, he's trying to ask me about if this is somebody I guess trying to set him up or trying to extort money from him. Okay, that's what extorting money from him. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking in my head, because then Sigfredo thinks that Lewis has something to do with to getting money out of his family, and that's why I think Sigfredo started to get a little suspicious about it. And that's when I put two and two, and I was like, okay, so then Lewis has something to do with this too, because why is he acting like this, but Sigfredo's not telling me what's going on. Kind of I'm just gonna take care of it. I'm gonna take care of it, Katie, stop talking, and I'm trying, and at that point, I'm, because I'm living with him and everything, I'm nagging him. I'm what's going on? What happened? And he's not telling me anything. And that's the part that I wanted to speak to Sigfredo about, because
no matter how many different ways they question her, Magbanua still relies on faulty memory and insists that the others left her out of the loop on most of their actions.
I wanted to know. At this point, it's I want to know what happened, because why just clear out this whole thing.
And
because
that was a little bit later, because you actually had that conversation with him over the phone after y'all were messing up the phone number. After Charlie left you, you never called Sigfredo. You went home that night and talked to him. Right?
Okay, wait, after Charlie...
So after Charlie came to your office and told you my mom got bumped into, this person came, gave my mom this paper, and this is all the different people it could be. It could be somebody extorting us, it could be all these other things.
Yeah,
you didn't call Sigfredo and talk to him about
No.
Why didn't you call him?
We didn't even talk.
You didn't know.
On the phone. Sigfredo at that point didn't want to talk on the phone at all. He was already suspicious about everything. He thinks that Lewis is setting him up, or something is happening, or that has to do with the police.
Okay.
So at that point,
Lewis is ratting on him.
It's either that or it has to do with something with Lewis. He didn't tell me. That's when, even when we got home, we didn't even talk about it. It was don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it.
At this point, did you still not know Lewis was involved?
Well, at this point, I had an assumption, that he has something to do with it. Of course. I mean, even, that's why it's I'm looking back, and it's they're always together, but at the same time, it's why would Sigfredo even need him to do anything when I went to you specifically? Why are you, why are you involving...
You never got a chance to ask him that?
no, and that's what I wanted to ask him all of that stuff and for him to tell me, because I know he'd open up and tell me. Like, I know you guys think that we probably were like here trying to like have this elaborate plan or whatever, but I just really wanted to talk to him and like for him to finally say things, because there's a lot of questions where I feel like I got
It's not so
stuck.
much that we didn't want you to have an elaborate plan. It's like Pat said a little while ago that you giving us information Garcia has, we can't use anything like that. We have to get it directly from Garcia.
And there's a lot of things that's only
And that's
Fredo
one
knows,
day
and he
we would
never
hope
told
he
me.
would talk to us as well. But
May I ask if that's even a possibility?
very much so.
Because it's like at the end of the day, it's like I just, of course, like I felt like, why didn't he just step up and say something?
I think he had a similar thought that you thought. You remember
But that's
about
why I
20 minutes
kept
ago when
fighting.
you
I don't
said
know
that if I had come forward, it would have screwed everything up for him. I think he has a very similar thought that he would do the same for you.
He's
that
protecting
screwed
you,
everything for
maybe.
you.
Only thing we can think. But
So, and that's when in reality the both of you are only protecting one person right now. And that was, well, at this point, that's changed. But Charlie was the only one.
Oh, he was the last person that we were protecting. Believe me, if it's just okay, like that's why I didn't understand why it took so long to like arrest him either. I was like, with all of this information and all, like it would.
if you would have talked to us, we'd have been arrested immediately. I tried to come to you
But
multiple
like
times.
it never came off that way where it's like, oh, like
We knocked on your door, knocked on
Okay,
your door.
but
Why are
we
you so
knocked-
scared of the FBI? Why are you so scared of the
you
police?
never, nobody ever said who they were. Like I looked out the window and you guys did
You
not
saw
say
them
who
with
you were.
badges on. You said on the phone those are police. The police are
I
at the
never
door.
said it. It was his friend that came around the block, and he told me that the FBI was in there. You guys, I swear, you guys never
And you
announced
knew the
it. I
FBI
was
was
the only
talking
one.
to Cifredo at the
Didn't
time,
you
too.
guys have a conversation on the phone? I mean, didn't you guys hear my conversation on the phone with Cifredo?
Mike?
If I would have, yes,
Somebody might,
yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
Mike
and
already
then
told
he
you
had
the
told
FBI
me-
was talking to him.
The FBI was talking to him. And then even on the phone, he's like talking about like, oh, these people are talking to me about like Tallahassee or whatever.
And then we went to
And
your lawyer. We went to Cifredo's lawyer and tried to talk to him. And we wanted you to talk to us. You never would talk to us.
I was more than willing to talk, but just the way that every single time that it happened, it wasn't the way that it was. Like you guys said that they announced, you guys never announced to me. I did not know until Mike told me that I had asked him, and you guys were already over there. You guys came at the same time. So I'm trying to blow up his phone, trying to see like who is it that's like knocking, and you guys never announced it. My dog is like
Every
barking
time
in the back.
somebody knocks on your door, you call somebody to find out who it is? You call somebody
No, it's just
else?
the way they
Go
ask,
ask who
like-
it is. They just knocked on the door. So we're just trying to talk to you. Anyway, that's irrelevant
Yeah.
at this point. But bottom line, all right, we don't have but a little bit more time. Is there anything that you can think of that conversation-wise that you had with Charlie or anybody else regarding this that we don't know about, that you can help yourself out with by telling us about? Because right now you haven't told us a whole lot of what we haven't known.
But that was always my problem, because if I had all the answers, it would have been so much easier to just go by and.
I'm not even asking for all the answers. I'm
Yeah.
asking for any answer, any information.
If you were sitting in our shoes and you'd watched all the trials and you saw what we got right and what we got wrong, is there something we are missing that you think we need to know?
I don't even know where to go from there. Like something that.
Did we get something wrong?
I would gear towards
Oh, okay.
Charlie's issues, not your own. I mean, I know where you differentiate
Because there was a
from us.
lot of confusion. Like I alone was confused of like how everything came about. It's like, okay, yeah, everybody was lying to each other. So there's all that confusion already.
This may be the most honest statement Magbanua has made so far. Each person was willing to sacrifice the other to save themselves, and the level of distrust was high enough for all of them to lie to each other. After so many years, sorting them all out would be next to impossible.
At that time, I can't think of why I acted the way I did, how I, even prior to even giving in and doing this for Charlie. I can't explain to you other than financial issues that's what I'm saying, like he manipulated me. And this is like through time of him telling me things little by little, and then I probably just gave him like, yeah, whatever, like I had somebody, and obviously I threw it off on Sigfredo. But when I'm talking to Sigfredo about it, it's never any details, so it's like, I was kind of always just like, okay, you know, like I just ping-ponged it from one person to another, so it's not like, for certain, like I'm there, like, you know, I'm coming up with like a master plan of like what's gonna happen, and this is how it's gonna happen. It's just Charlie feeding me things that I can't even, for the life of me, remember specific, you know, like what it is that he exactly said or, you know, wanted me to do.
What's something that we missed, something we don't know about how this all came together? After the bump, after your meetings with Charlie, obviously we have the things that are on the phone calls that you've heard, everybody's heard hundreds of times in this, everybody in this room I could say has probably heard them hundreds of times. Obviously we know that. Outside of that, you guys had outside conversations. Obviously you were sweating it, you got police, FBI knocking on your doors. You have people getting arrested. Now your child's father is now arrested and charged with this. I know conversations happened. You guys said, okay, let's not talk on phones anymore. So conversations happened. You guys met in person, had conversations. What were those conversations like?
With Sigfredo?
With
With
both.
both.
Sigfredo and with Charlie.
But
those
really, everything
conversations.
was kind of like on the phone too, like not just separate, because obviously we were still talking on the phone. I wasn't under the impression. Charlie's always been the one who's been paranoid about it. Charlie and Sigfredo's paranoid about it. Apparently I'm the only one who was like okay with talking on the phone because it wasn't really hiding anything. Like, yeah, like I knew about it, but I wasn't like saying, you know, like.
I'm talking about after the phone. Charlie calls you, tells you don't talk on your phones, our phones are tapped. You guys get off the phone. Sigfredo goes out and buys you and him burner phones. Okay? When that happens, you and Charlie have other conversations where you meet in person. Y'all have other conversations through WhatsApp. What are those conversations like?
With the WhatsApp, it's just where we were gonna like meet up.
That was your location to meet up. Okay,
Yeah.
when you met up, what were those conversations like?
Okay, when we went to the Icon, that was a conversation about like the whole bump.
Okay.
And then that's what I told you, like I had seen his parents, but it wasn't to meet his parents. But I'm just, like I've never, like even spoken to his mom or anything about any of this. Obviously my opinions on what everything now is different, and yeah, like she like knew everything, or like him and Charlie were always talking about it, because why else would you always walk away? But if you're gonna involve me in this, then why was he always walking away? Because he was like protecting his mom.
Right.
The whole time.
Absolutely. But what was his conversations like with you about that? Okay, we talked about the bump. He told you you were approached. Y'all had other conversations, okay? They approached the bump. You tried to call the phone number and you couldn't get through. I'm sure you went back and had that conversation with Charlie. What were those conversations like?
It was all on the phone. I mean, it
No,
was all
there was
on the recorded phone calls.
But after those phone calls, he specifically calls you, tells you, we cannot talk on the phones. Hang up your phone. We can't talk on the phone or our phones are tapped. You guys stopped talking and communicating on the phone at that point.
And never spoke on the phone again after.
You talk with WhatsApp.
Through WhatsApp you did.
WhatsApp.
And you said through WhatsApp it's only
Oh, okay.
locations to meet up. So we know y'all have met up. We know
Yeah.
there was other conversation because there was
He
y'all
never
weren't
said.
arrested right away.
Yeah, but he never said anything on WhatsApp either. Like no specifics.
What
or,
about
like,
your
conversation.
in-person conversations? You met him in person. What kind of conversations did you have in person with him? After that, after you stopped talking on the phone, now you're probably freaking out. Shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah.
People are being arrested. FBI's knocking on your door. This ain't flying under the radar. It's 2 years later. You thought you got away with it. Now you didn't. Now you're sweating. What are those conversations like?
I can't remember what.
You can't remember any of the conversations that we don't already know about that's already been in trial.
Yeah, no, I can't remember any of the conversations we had after.
Okay, those are the kind of conversations that are going to help you, because what you're giving us is stuff we already know.
Yeah.
Stuff that we're already aware of, stuff that we already have.
There's something in those conversations that Magbanua is trying to hide. There's enough evidence against her that there is little chance that anything she reveals could cause more harm to her case.
Stuff that we already have a really good case.
Yeah.
You're wanting help. Those are the conversations you need to remember. The things that we don't know. The things that we did not get on recordings. The things that we were not a part of. The things that we did not have any kind of information about. Those are the things that you need to remember.
Those are the conversations I can't even remember right now. Like, I don't.
But you've had years to think about this stuff.
I
This isn't
really
like
don't.
today.
That's-
This isn't like we're coming up with new questions today. You've been thinking about this case for years while you're sitting in jail.
But that's the thing. I don't think about this case like sitting in the jail. Yeah, like there's.
You don't think about the
You've had
fact that you
trial
don't see your
prep, you've
children
had 2 different
for the
trial
rest of their
preps.
lives? You don't think about that? This,
Yes,
this
I
case
do.
is what caused that.
Katie, if
I
you
know,
want,
I
if you
know,
want,
I know.
if you don't spend the rest of your life in prison, you're gonna have to
And
have a real
believe
comfortable
me, I don't.
conversation with yourself and your attorney, something, because you're not there. These are conversations where an attorney usually asks us to leave the room so they can talk to you and say, look, you've got to come straight forward. You can't be have partial truth and have partial deflecting the blame on everybody else. I didn't really know, but I should have. There are things there that you knew. I'm not saying you know everything, but there's things there that you knew, and what you're telling us just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Well, friend, doesn't make sense. It's like
all of it.
The fact that you don't remember any conversation about probably one of the most stressful times of your life.
That's why it's.
Okay.
I can't.
No. You remember those conversations. Those conversations are things that stick in your head. Those are the kind you can suppress. You can suppress things as it goes on and you're trying to focus on your trial. You know, you're only giving us what we already know. You're only giving us the things that we already knew happened. You're not giving us anything else. And those are the conversations that you know, because that's the most stressful time of your life. You're going around, your baby daddy's just been arrested for this murder that you helped facilitate, that did not happen without you. Okay, so you know those conversations. Those are the ones that you need to sit back and think about and try to remember, because those are the ones that we don't know. Those are the ones that are going to help you.
And I understand you don't want to take the blame for this, but
It's
you
not about
have taken
blaming.
the blame.
It's-
You have taken it. You're here. You're not getting out. This is the blame for you. Doesn't matter if you turn around and say, yes, I knew about it the whole time, or, oh, I didn't really know what was happening. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is what you heard, what you said, what you did with these people. That's what's relevant. That's all that's relevant. Is
You
what
can't get in
actually
any more
happened.
trouble. It can only get
And
better.
I
I'm trying
completely
to
understand
explain.
that this is the part that it's like I can't.
But you were worried about it being on camera a while ago. You got to wipe that out of your head.
I've already.
People already know you're on
Yeah.
camera. You're on camera. You're on camera in all this. That's irrelevant. What you need to focus on is remembering what happened and telling us what happened. That's the most important thing for you right now. Because without that, you're here.
There's nothing.
Yes, you're here.
Those conversations are the ones that you need to try to remember.
But that's why, even from the beginning, that if like I would just, don't you think I would have just wanted to cooperate from the beginning, because you guys.
I don't know why you didn't. We gave you many opportunities, and the whole thing, if you didn't know who was at the door, whatever, we tried, Katie, and you didn't come forward. I don't know why you didn't. You must have your own reasons. That's why I'm asking you if you've been threatened. If you've been threatened, we can protect you. If somebody's threatening you or threatening your family, we can
Now
protect
I'm
your
kind of
family.
worried about this whole thing after the trial about the whole Latin King or whatever, but apparently that has nothing to do with me.
No, I don't know
Lewis
what
is
it's
the one
about.
who.
Yeah, Latin King has nothing to do with you. I'm talking about why you didn't cooperate to start with. Why you have failed to cooperate all the way until now. If there's something keeping you from doing it, please let us know. We can help with that.
Is it just you don't remember the conversations?
A lot of the things, yes, I don't remember. That's why it's like, and there was never conversations that stuck out, because if something was to stick out, that's why right now I know it gets frustrating, and I see it, and I'm seeing it on your side. It's like, if I was talking to somebody too, like, just say it. And I've always wanted to be that, I want to be the one who says it, but if I'm not certain about it, or we wouldn't have even spoken on the phone to begin with if I was just gonna go off and just talk on the side anyways.
Right. My thing is it's the conversations after you guys get off the phone. The things that
Yeah, and there's nothing that sticks out to even be like, oh,
So when you met at the Icon that day, remember back? You met at
Yes.
the Icon that day. You didn't
Yes.
talk about the bump, because the bump happened almost 2 weeks before that. The bump actually, he told you about the bump in the car and at your work, outside your work at Dolce Vita.
Yes.
When he called you back down to Icon, it was because of a different bump. You remember any of those other bumps that happened? Because that's when you're on the phone cussing out, saying, I'm going to fuck up whoever's doing this, blah,
Because
blah,
he
blah,
was just
all this other
constantly
stuff.
talking about, oh, this is, because he's thinking that he's getting blackmailed, and I'm here thinking that Lewis is blackmailing Sigfredo. So that's the whole frustration. And like, I'm here trying to ask Sigfredo things. He's not telling me things. And I'm here trying to figure out things to relay back to Charlie. And Charlie just keeps on and on about the same thing. So I was the one who was frustrated. That's the point, that it's like I said all of that, because it's like, you're making all of this like you're listening to us and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, then I'm going to call the FBI. But then it's like, what was I going to do to call the FBI and what? Tell them what I'm telling you guys right now? At the end of the day, this is my life. Believe me, I want to get home to my children. I don't want to bullshit anything. I don't want to go through all of this. I don't want to waste your time. That's the last thing. I am in prison right now. I would never think that I'd be in prison.
So tell us about, like, when he called you down there, what did he tell you about?
That's what, nothing sticks out to my head.
There was a bump. He
What
didn't
bump?
tell you about other bumps? A letter, a text message, a call to the office, those other bumps. That's when he called you down to the icon.
But he already said that over the phone.
No,
About,
he just told you to come meet him. Unless you talked on WhatsApp, it's not on the phone calls. That's what I'm trying to get you to
because he
understand.
already said
How did those
about,
conversations go?
but we were on phone call already regarding that. There was okay, so his mom got that bump, and then the following thing was.
Considering the stress they were under, they weren't meeting for a friendly conversation. Panicked accusations, getting their story straight, and promises not to reveal anything that might incriminate the others would all be more believable alternatives to Magbanua's current version of events. I just wanted to let you know real quick that my merch shop, StrangerLabel.com, has a ton of quality and unique designs that you can purchase right now. And by doing so, support the channel at the same time. Items like the Architect and the Interrogator hoodies, the Mentally Checked Out and the Stranger t-shirts, the Do Not Cross mug, and the All-Seeing beanie are all there and available. Check out these and other items I have to offer on StrangerLabel.com, and don't forget to use code STRANGER15 to get an extra 15% off your entire order. And with that out of the way, let's get back to the case.
Somebody, I mean, like, we were all trying to call that number, and I'm here lying to him that I called it, and then Sigfredo's lying to me about calling that number, but nobody's really calling the number. I don't know if Sigfredo ever really did call the number, because then he did say to me something about there's somebody Spanish that picked up the phone.
No,
and
later
then,
on, yes.
So did he really ever call that number?
Later on he did, yes.
Okay, and like left the message, or that's the messaging that was on there? Okay, so then he's telling me that. That's all recorded, like that's. There was nothing ever after that we spoke separate from it, and then he told me about that. Charlie told me about somebody going to his office and dropping off a letter, or that they need that information or whatever. But that was all on the phone. There was never anything separate from that.
Remember you went down to the icon, met him at the restaurant?
Yeah.
That wasn't
I
on the
think
phone.
he's just said everything that's been happening, not anything.
Well, it was right after one of the
different,
bumps.
yeah.
That was right after one of the bumps. That's why I told you that.
Like, hey, you need to figure this out. You need to find out. He's pressuring me. Like, at this whole time, he's pressuring me things. Like, he's like, you need to find out what's going on. And he's trying to figure out if, like, Sigfredo is probably doing something, or trying to get somebody to get money from him, or whatever it is, whatever the cause. And Sigfredo's freaking out because it might be Louis that's doing something. So because he's the one who's.
That's what I mean. What did he say to you to make you think that he thought Sigfredo was extorting him? What would he say about that? Tell us that conversation. That's what we're trying to get from you. How that conversation went.
No, because he's just going off. That's why I don't remember specific things that
Right.
he's saying, but he's probably, he's going off and telling me, you need to figure this out, you need to figure this out. Because in his head, he's probably like, okay, well, somebody's going to out all of us or whatever.
So he
And
actually
I'm
said to you,
not.
like, hey, is Sigfredo trying to extort me for more money? Is he
No,
asking you that?
he never.
That conversation in the comment you made about somebody's gonna out all of us. During one of those conversations, there was a comment made about somebody is on the inside, somebody too close.
About the layers or
That's
whatever.
what-
It's
that's what
somebody
you
who-
said.
that-
This is getting too detailed. There's somebody on the
Inside
inside
that
that
knows.
knows. Somebody on the inside that
I'm
knows.
thinking it's Louis.
Okay.
Like Louis is doing all of this. Like this, that was always my assumption, that it was Louis doing this because maybe he talked to
So
somebody.
you
while he
at no
was-
point thought it was the cops. You were like, somebody's.
I mean, no. I mean, like I would think that it has something to do with police.
You would think Lewis was flipping already.
Something,
You
yeah.
But you're
yes.
telling Sigfredo that. Did you tell Charlie that? Did you ever tell Charlie you think?
No, I'm getting this vibe from Sigfredo because Sigfredo is freaking out. The
Right.
only reason why he would be freaking out is because it has to do something with Louis.
Right.
Now, this is when I put two and two together that I'm like, okay, like, did he do something with Lewis, because I'm thinking in my head the whole time that it was, you know, like whoever, me going to Sigfredo about it, I would think that Sigfredo would go to somebody else about it, and the whole time I'm just relaying it to Sigfredo, but wouldn't be stupid enough for him to really be the one who's doing it. Does that make sense? No?
Yeah. You thought Sigfredo would be the one in the process.
In the process, yeah.
To be able to get someone to take care of it for you.
Yes, basically.
Okay, so
Not
you
never
look at him
really-
knowing that he has those connections, that he could have got somebody to do it.
Yeah, not him doing anything.
But then he got paid, and he's giving you money, and you're giving him
I
money.
mean, but that has nothing to do with me. He could pay off somebody else. That's
and then
him
he
getting
gave
paid.
you money, and then you met outside of Lewis's house. So obviously at that point you knew Lewis was involved. He was involved. I think if I'm remembering correctly, these guys can correct me. You've said it before. Like Lewis and Sigfredo they're like this. They're always together, always doing things together. So why would you think one would do something without the other if that's how they are?
I mean, they hang out with a whole bunch of guys too.
Right, but
I
also-
would think that.
A whole bunch of guys wasn't at Lewis's house.
Did Sigfredo make another trip up here?
So confusing, huh?
Did Sigfredo make a third trip? Do you know if he made one before the June? Did he come up before June?
Not that I can recall, but probably. I don't know how many. He never told me when he would go out of town.
Did you ever
That was
have
the
to
thing,
go,
being
did you
out of
ever have
town.
to go get more money from Charlie prior to the murder?
I did lie about one time, to Charlie. I was with Sigfredo, me and him got back together, and then that's now that you said out of town, it was always out of town. So then that gave me an assumption that it wasn't in Miami, like I have to get out of town. Anything he was gonna do, any type of business or whatever, it's like he's going out of town.
So what'd you
That's-
lie about?
Oh, I lied I lied to Charlie about needing money for,
For
when
this?
but we ended up taking the kids out, like staying somewhere else, and then that was,
So you
but
lied
besides
that
that-
he needed money for this, but it was actually for you guys to go on vacation or.
Yeah, like we just like stayed somewhere, like, rented a hotel or whatever, like with the kids.
Okay.
So it was never like a trip.
But did you ever get money from him on a different time?
This is from Sigfredo?
No, from Charlie.
For another trip, like April or May or anything like that.
Because Freddie ever need money
Oh, right now.
to do any kind of other stuff other than the June trip and then the murder? Was there any other time that you asked for money for him to do whatever preparations he needed to?
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't know. I'm not certain.
okay, but that's what they're asking is any other
Yeah,
time that he needed money for preparations?
I'm thinking in my head that maybe it has happened, but I'm not for certain, so I don't want to
Okay.
say. Yeah, because Sigfredo has mentioned, times like, hey, I'm gonna need money. I need, to get out of town. Like he'd always just say, get out of town. Like when he said that, like that just triggered like
This is what
like
it's for.
something that he would say, out of town. I'd be like, oh, okay, and then I just relay it back. So it might have happened where there's another time before that,
Okay.
but I'm just not certain. I know I lied about that one time about him going out of town, but it wasn't really for that. Like we ended up going out with the kids and just used that money to go out with the kids.
Okay.
So I'm so
You're fine.
no, it's not that. It's just that I want to get to the bottom of this too.
Here's
and
the
it's
thing, like you said, okay, so before you were in county, you were worried about, like, if you were, it's something you remember, you get back and you remember it and you'd be afraid to write it down because people will steal it, because you're worried about it hindering your case. Okay, your case is how it is now.
Yeah.
If you hear, and after talking to us, if something comes to your mind, whatever, I think you guys you get stationery and stuff in there, start writing it down. Reach back out to your attorney or whichever, and
Talk to
That's
Chris.
why I
Talk to
just
Chris.
don't ever think that there was, because
you're gonna have a lot of time to think, like, you're gonna be
But
thinking.
it's like, I know you guys are kind of getting frustrated about the whole situation of like conversations that like occurred. There was nothing that like really stuck out that like, why would, for that, we wouldn't have never spoken on the phone to begin with. A lot of the conversation was already on the phone, so obviously I was free to want to talk about all of this stuff on the phone because I wasn't really in fear of something happening. I'm feeding off of both of them freaking out, and I'm trying to figure it out with them, but they're not telling me the facts. And this is why the whole thing of like,
Magbanua had more than enough information to piece together what was going on. It is possible she was stringing Charlie on so he would continue to pay her to keep quiet in spite of her renewed relationship with Garcia.
Me cooperating and stuff from the beginning, but I don't really have all the facts. Like right now, I'm back in square one. I don't have the specific facts, but from what I just relayed, and now
But
you're
I'm
saying
talking
that
about
there's
from beginning to end of all this. Anything that you think of or you remember is what I'm talking about. Anything that's going to come to mind that you didn't think of, because you said you suppressed a lot of it. You suppressed a lot of it, and then you'd go back and then you're thinking like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh yeah, that happened, and you forget it again when it's time to come back up. Those are the thoughts that I'm talking about to write down and kind of keep note of, because those are things you don't want to risk forgetting them again, and now you remember them. And those are the things you need to reach out to Chris and when you have those, so that way you can, because if it's something that we don't know, something that hasn't already been out here, something we haven't already discussed with you, or has been brought up in trial that you know that we have, you've seen everything we've got, okay?
We're going to leave here and think of questions we forgot to ask. Sure. It's inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us, so.
yeah. And I had a whole bunch of questions that I wanted to ask you guys too, specifically with the whole thing too, like, I have a lot of questions about Sigfredo, but obviously nobody's spoken to Sigfredo. I wish I would have just asked these questions. Believe me, I'm the one who's at the end of the day where it's like if I would have just asked questions, or if I would have just been more like, you know, like instead of like bullshitting about it around that time, you know, like I wasn't taking like, and that's what I'm telling you. Like I'm looking at it back now, like yeah, I feel stupid. I feel stupid because the whole time I'm like not asking the same questions, and I'm in this, but I'm not really taking it seriously. Like I'm just like, oh, okay, like, and it's not something that shouldn't have been taken seriously. Like this is obviously it led up to this situation right now, but these are things that like I want you guys to go up to Sigfredo and ask these questions. Those are the stuff that only he can answer, and then why he was saying the things that he said. Yeah. I still talk to his mom every now and then. No, but that's the thing. It's like I try to relay, like, you know, I can't have a conversation with him. Is that like not allowed? I don't know how we're
That's a sticky wicket. We'll have to look at that. I don't know how we would accomplish that. I know the prisons don't allow you to contact.
I know, like not to have prison, but in this situation, like we have children together.
I
have communication with him. Like I don't really have that direct communication. I'm having a hard time with my mother-in-law because of the fact that it's like my family's trying to protect my children, and that's my number one priority is the protection of my children. So they're not really comfortable with, you know, the whole thing with Sigfredo's mom.
Oh,
Let
she
alone
tried
with
to see.
Sigfredo. I mean, yeah, but she lives in California now. Yeah, this has caused a lot.
So let's make her
issues.
kind of not want to talk and have conversations with you because she can't see.
I mean, it's just very hard because then it's like I'm again in the middle because it's like I want my children to have their grandparent, but it's like at the same time I'm getting frustrated because it's like I don't want this ongoing thing and anything to mess this whole situation up where I don't know how much more screwed I could get, but it's, you know, like I just didn't want anything to hinder that. And like I said, I know you guys perceive it in all these different ways, and it's like I can even tell just from your. I'm frustrated with myself. I see the frustration, and I've been through, and I'm not a complainer. I don't want to complain like, oh my God, I've been through all of it. Yes, it's been hell in here, and I've had to put away a lot of things, and it's like, yeah, I suppress all of those feelings, and I want to help. Like, yes, I want an end to this whole situation, but there's a lot of questions that I really cannot answer, and it's from what I remember. You know, granted, if I go back in the dorm and I think back about all this conversation, things stick out. Obviously, I'm gonna have that legal call with Tara.
That's probably a better idea than writing it down.
Yeah, just call them when you think about it. Call your lawyers.
There's a risk for Magbanua to be targeted by other inmates. If they can gain the information before she has the chance to volunteer it herself, they could possibly use it as leverage in their own cases, since this is a high-profile case.
And tell them, write this down before you
Yeah.
do something, document it.
Something to remember it.
Because obviously those calls are not recorded and nobody monitors that stuff.
And if from the beginning, I never felt, like I was approached in a way where it's like I should have, like this could have all happened. If I was in the beginning saying the same thing that I'm telling you now, you probably would have reacted the same way. Like, well, what were those conversations? Well, it's not sticking out to me because it was never anything. Why would I have to talk outside? Like I said, like everything was on the phone calls. Yeah, if you told me to meet or whatever, Charlie just says the same thing all over again of everything he's already probably said on the phone call. It was nothing
At what point
separate.
did anybody know that murder was supposed to happen?
And that's the part that I was telling Chris. I don't know when it transitioned from that to like me really finding out that this was, okay, it was a murder that was supposed to be done.
Okay.
So you don't know when that happened or how that happened?
Yeah, like when it transitioned from like, okay, that's what needs to be done. I don't know if I'm just like, it's hard obviously to be like, I'm involved in, somebody passing away, somebody being murdered, and me facilitating all of this, but like, yeah, I see the role that I played. I see me ping-ponging from both parties and stuff, and I see it. So yeah,
do you remember Charlie asking you that it needed to transition to that, like verbally? Was it, how did that occur? It went over the phone, was it? Or was it in person? How did Charlie present that to you?
I don't know. Like I said, this is like through time of him really like getting in my head and just telling that this needs to be done, but not like, oh, like he needs to be killed or whatever. So
How did you tell Sigfredo that? How did you transition it to Sigfredo?
that's why I think that paper had all the information. Therefore, I never went back and forth to even go and ask Charlie this question or ask Sigfredo that question. This is I'm thinking all the paper had directions of who the person was, what needed to happen, and that's that paper that I wish I had. And you saying that he was trying to show me that he had never showed me.
I didn't say he tried to show you. I said he had it with you. Did he show it?
No, he's never
car
showed.
For a while.
Magbanua is pinning her hopes on a piece of paper that no longer exists. Even if it did, it wouldn't mean that she hadn't known what it contained.
Yeah, he's never showed it to me, even in the car, nothing. This is the point that I would be like, yeah, he showed me that paper. Like, what do I've got to lose? There's not something that I would want to keep.
That's pretty well. You said early on that you did, but it's a pretty significant event.
That he didn't
right,
show
I'm
me
saying,
anything.
yeah. It's a pretty significant event for somebody to go from beating somebody up to murdering, and you don't remember any of that transition process. It's just not coming up in your head and how it happens.
Yeah, like I don't. Like,
I mean, that doesn't be exact
I
specifics.
know I'm not, yeah, but that's what I was trying to tell with Chris as well. Like, when did it get from point A to point B to this point, and then now that whole part is just like, it's a blur to me, but I don't know when Charlie said those specific words, or even
You know for sure that it was said, you just can't remember when? No.
I don't know.
And you can't remember how you talked to Sigfredo about it at all. How you went to Sigfredo and say, this needs to be a murder, not...
But that's what I'm saying, like, he knew probably what it was for, and obviously Charlie knew. But I was never in the know, because I think from that paper, from the beginning, it was already said there. But they're not telling me anything. Therefore, I don't know when it transpired. And
So you're thinking that the instructions, everything was in the paper, all the communication that, you just knew that Charlie wanted someone taken care of, your understanding was he wanted someone beat up, you told him you
not
had
even
somebody,
or
hurt.
Yeah,
Somebody
hurt.
Somebody hurt her.
That's a really significant ask to put on a piece of paper for you to give to somebody that he doesn't even know.
I don't even know why the hell Charlie ever even came up to me. I think about that all the time. Like, who comes up to somebody that they just met? It's like, how much does he know? Did he know who Sigfredo really
Did you not
was?
tell him about Sigfredo?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that he was, like every time that...
Did you vent to him about your ex, about your baby daddy, about his
I'm
the
pretty
kind
sure
of history he has?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I mentioned stuff like that, and that's why I feel like he knew more.
Yeah.
Keep going, you're fine.
I feel like he knew more than what he led me to know he did, you know, like he knew.
You felt like he knew that you had that connection, that's why he kept talking.
Why did he come up to me? You don't think I asked my question to all the other people? I wouldn't just come up to you, I just met you.
It is possible that one way or another, Charlie became aware of the connection that Magbanua had with Garcia and how that could be useful.
Right.
And somebody that you're dating, why? But then now I
So you think it was a calculated thing for him? In your mind?
I feel like everything has been calculated with
You think everything
Charlie.
with him, the reason he started dropping those hints to you and bringing that up to you is because he knew that you had the connections to make it happen?
He knew who I was with, and maybe who he hung out. Like I don't know. I don't know to what extent.
Obviously, I know you don't know for sure, but that's your mind. You're thinking that that's why he came to you. That's why he came to you, because he knew you had that connection with Sigfredo and the kind of people that Sigfredo.
It just doesn't make sense. Like that's the part that doesn't make sense. How do you feel so comfortable? Like you would never feel. And then that was like.
Did you do anything to make him feel comfortable with it?
No.
Other than you, I mean, obviously you told him you had somebody.
What makes sense is you telling him who Sigfredo is, and telling him you had somebody that could do this, and him trusting in you.
It's like he
That's why he
trusted
comes to you, because he trusts you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay if you told him about somebody, or you told him you had somebody that could do this, or you told him these things. It's okay. You're not going to
No, I
get in
did.
trouble.
That is what I said. Okay, like, yeah, I have somebody for you. That's what was the conversation in the car, but like it never even really went. Like I think it was a while before.
Well, yeah, October, so the
time?
Halloween thing is when you said that's the part you remember when you told him you had
Yeah,
someone.
it was like a while
And
for
then
him to even
a
like
couple months.
something. For anything to even happen. But I'm saying like even the initial thing. Why is it
Why
that
did
I
he
was
initially bring it
approached,
up to you?
and why is it that me? And why would you trust me? I could have easily from the get been like, this guy's crazy. He's trying to make me, like get somebody else for it, and it's like I could have flipped on him.
Right. Was it something you had been saying to him? You've been talking to Sigfredo up, or talking about some of your past?
It was too early on. All I could remember, all I could think that I would have told him is that, like, how the stuff that I was going through with Sigfredo as far as like relationship wise.
You'd be venting about him,
Yeah.
about all the frustrations you have, him not having money, him doing drugs, him.
It was a lot of things now that I think about it with the money situation. He knows that we were struggling. He knew that like obviously.
And he's
That
throwing it
Sigfredo
around
has
and spoiling
no
you.
job.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying that Sigfredo has no job. I'm having a hard time. This is why I'm picking up jobs here, there, whatever, and then working in the office. But a part of that is because he knew financially, like, I'm a single mom. I've been with Sigfredo for a long time. Like, I've been with him since I was 18 years old. So it's just like, it's our relationship has taken a change since we moved back down to Miami, obviously, after having 2 kids and stuff. And it was like, it got to the point where I got frustrated and that was over. But then I still kept up, and I still, like he was still in my life.
Obviously, he's father of
But
children.
I think about it all the time. It's like he has to have known way more than he's presuming. If he's trusting me enough to even think this, and then I'm relaying it to Sigfredo, obviously Sigfredo's gonna trust me, but then
there's obviously some trust there because you did it. It happened. You didn't tell anybody. You guys thought you got away with it for a couple of years. So obviously the trust was there. The trust was built there for it. So the trust is there. Somehow there was something done to make him trust you for that. And obviously he trusted you because you did it. You didn't call the police to set him up. You didn't call to report that this guy's trying to harm somebody, trying to get me to hire someone. We've worked cases many times before where they have called, like, hey, this person's a little crazy. I think they're actually going to do it. You might want to get on this, and we've done it. So there was that trust was there.
I already involved Sigfredo, like.
Yeah, but you put trust in. You told Charlie that you had somebody to do it. Somehow you did something to make him trust you to be able to have you do this.
Remember any of those conversations?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why he would have trusted me. That's why I feel. Do you think that he's?
I feel like there's got to be something when you guys were talking about some topics you were on. Somehow something with your connection that you guys had during you said y'all just met because y'all just started talking when he started dropping these hints. Obviously,
but
something in your interactions has made him want to trust you.
Okay, but him commenting that wasn't it from the past that before about him hiring like a hitman? Wasn't that a joke, an ongoing joke he's had from before? So what, does he just go to different people at a time and ask them these things? Like that's the.
A joke could have been a tool to feel people out and see who reacted as if they might be capable